Welcome to the Vault XL. Thank you for joining me. This commentary is pertaining to Henry Dinkins. The state and the defense has rested, and he had a bench trial, which means the judge will make the decision, not a jury. What will the judge decide? We're going to go back in time and discuss the findings of Breasia Terrell, a then 10-year-old girl that went missing in Iowa. She was last in the custody of Mr. Dinkins and his girlfriend alongside her baby brother. Mr. Dinkins is not her biological father, and she went along to a sleepover at his girlfriend's house, Mr. Dinkins' girlfriend's home, Ms. Culberson. And at some point during the night, she went missing. Hello, Lady Lolo. Thank you for joining me. We're going to dissect it. I did not give updates during this trial because it's a bothersome situation pertaining to children. And as I have told you all, I do not like talking about children cases anymore. But every blue moon, I will discuss one that piques my fancy. And I just watch the updates sporadically pertaining to Mr. Dinkins. Now that the judge, the state and the defense has rested, the judge has the case now. I just got information that it may take up to 60 days before the judge gives a ruling. That's a long time we're talking about. It's already September 1st. Happy September to everybody in the viewing audience. I can't see 60 days from now, or less than 60 days. We will be in winter. Let's go back a few days ago to when the state and the defense rested pertaining to this case. Did Henry Dinkins kidnap, sexually assault, and murder Breasia Terrell? What was the motive? I think most of us can use our better minds to why he would have kidnapped and killed the child, so she wouldn't tell. That's the reason. So she would not tell. Her mother says that about her own child. She was a tattleteller. She was strong-willed. She was a fighter. So when I heard those words, it dawned on me why Mr. Dinkins would have murdered the girl child, because she would have told the truth of what he did to her. And something else crossed my mind last night, the reasons why rapists become murderers. As though there will be no investigation. There will be no one going forward to say, this guy, this man, assaulted me. What is the old saying? A dead man tells no tales. Well, that goes for a girl child as well. A dead girl tells no tales. And that's what he thought. I'll get her out of the way, dump her somewhere out of sight, out of mind, nowhere near her home, my girlfriend's home. They'll never find her. But see where he messed up is that he was the last one who had her. And then he was seen on cameras doing things in the witching hour that most normal people would not be doing. And naturally, the defense can argue, well, we're entitled to roam as we see fit, go where we want, when we want. What's the big deal if someone's buying flip-flops and changing their clothes and buying bleach in the AM? Well, the gist of that is the girlfriend had bleach in her apartment. So why would you be buying bleach in a whole entirely different city at 2 in the morning? Stay woke, everybody. Thank you for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie 129, Cash Apps, Division Chats are welcome during the live. This was trial day 14. Closing arguments. This content was uploaded 1 day ago. Local 4 News, WHBF. Thank you for joining me.
Almost 2 weeks of testimony that got emotional and technical at times ended with closing arguments today in Henry Dinkins' murder trial. We now wait for the verdict from a Scott County judge. That could take up to 60 days.
Dinkins is accused of kidnapping and murdering 10-year-old Breasia Terrell. Her family wants justice, while Dinkins' lawyers argue prosecutors did not prove their case. Fox 18's Linda Cook has tonight's top story.
The
as she went down, that child went down. Scott County Attorney Kelly Cunningham describing Breasia Terrell's sleeping habits. Breasia and her half-brother, D.L., spent the night with Henry Dinkins and his then-girlfriend. Cunningham trying to make the case that Dinkins planned to sexually abuse and kill the girl. Why would you want to put a 4XL on a 10-year-old child? Taking her from his apartment while D.L. slept next to her. Breasia's body found months later at a pond in Clinton County.
This fairy tale that they spun.
Dinkins' lead attorney, Chad Freeze, arguing the prosecution has no physical evidence linking Dinkins to her death.
From jump, this case was thought to be Henry Dinkins raped this little girl. But they didn't test for DNA. They had no blood, they had no semen, and they had no trace evidence.
Saying Dinkins is no killer.
It was an execution. It was a terrible death. And think about the person that pulled the trigger. 1, 2, 3 times on a 10-year-old child. That takes a special kind of person to do that. That's not him.
Dinkins appeared calm and focused in court, showing little emotion, but focused on testimony as he has been throughout the trial. The judge said he would return with a verdict as soon as he could. Linda Cook, Fox 18 News.
Oh, you got everything that I need.
Sorry about that. Stepped away for a brief moment. No evidence linking Mr. Dinkins to the deceased child. No physical evidence, says the defense. This is a circumstantial case, says the defense. Well, I guess it depends on your perception of what the information has been relayed. Did Henry Dinkins kidnap this girl child in the AM? Where did he sexually assault her? Because 9 times out of 10, that is what most people are assuming, is that she was assaulted. And that is the reason why she was murdered, found in a pond 35 minutes away from her, from her home, or Miss Culperson's home. This is a disturbing case. Hello, Lisa. Thank you for joining me. You see, some cases are circumstantial because that's all that's been gathered. Sometimes the demon seed exacted the crime well enough not to leave behind evidentiary material such as blood, saliva, semen, fingerprints, footprints, so on and so forth, skin cells. And naturally, when you dispose of a body in an open area, such as a pond, a lake, a river, the forest, nature will take its course. It will dissolve the body. The body is going to dissolve itself. The body is going to dissolve even if it is hidden inside of a house, a basement, a storage unit. You understand what I'm saying? Because that's nature. But there are a few things pertaining to the case that do link him to the child, such as soil underneath the camper, the RV, I believe it's the RV under the car that matches the soil where the child was discarded. Your phone pinged out there in that general area, sir. You were supposed to be at the house with your child and this girl child and Miss Culberson. Why would your phone be pinging out near a pond where they eventually found the girl? You can't explain that. And the weird part of that story is that Miss Culberson says his phone was on the charger at her apartment, at her work desk. So that leads me to believe that he had 2 phones. If not, I stand corrected. But that's my assumption. If I'm to believe her version, that she found that odd. And you will hear that in testimony, that she found his phone, saw his phone, and thought that was strange that his phone would be there because she had been calling his phone when she realized the girl child was gone. And the layout of that morning of all this moving around, coming in and out of the apartment, going in the closet, the state believes he went in there, got a gun out of there. They ask her, did she see the gun? The state and the defense, she says no, he could have concealed it. But all of the movement, once she got up and realized he was gone, the girl child was gone. And many people blame her as well, Ms. Culberson, and I do too. Because you were just as responsible as Mr. Dinkins. This is your house. This isn't even his home. He's staying with you, but this is your apartment. So when you got up in the middle of the night to use the restroom, you should have realized something was amiss when you didn't, one, see the girl child in the bed when you went to the bathroom, and then only the boy child left there, and then you realize your man, as another YouTuber called him, Ham Hock. Oh, I love it. Mr. Ham Hock is gone too. And then when you finally sit up and wait, 30 minutes later, he comes in, goes into this closet to get something out. And later they asked you, of course, did you say anything? And she's like, well, he wouldn't give me a chance to say anything. But see, you weren't crunk enough, as some of us black folks would say. You didn't get crunk because you let the court know you're submissive. He was the outgoing one. Well, at 3 a.m, you should have changed your tune. Hey, where are you going? Hey, where are you coming from? Hey, where's the girl child at? Where's Briasia? See, that's what you should have been asking. Hey, I just realized that girl's not in that bed. Where is she? And where are you going? And if you had to mosey your little way up under this big 4X size human being, that's what you should have done. But some are thinking you already suspected the worst when you realized the girl was missing and Mr. Dinkins was missing. So he doesn't answer you. He doesn't explain himself. He bypasses you. Go downstairs. At some point, you make it to the window. You see the girl child was out there. You still never said anything. You didn't yell at her. You didn't go downstairs. Hey, what are you doing? Hey, you need to come back up here. See, all of this shows complicity. And maybe in her sick mind, she doesn't want to own her part either. But as I said before, she's got to sleep with that. Hello, Margaret. She's got a heavy burden to carry through life because she willingly said nothing. You said nothing to Dinkins. You didn't raise up funk with him. You didn't get crunk with him. And when you saw the child outside standing by the car on the passenger side of that Impala, you still never yelled out the window, said anything, and poof, voila, they disappear into the night. And this is where the state believes is when he decided to take the child out to discard her, realizing she's going to say something. I still found that strange as well. Double back into the apartment to allegedly go get a gun and then take the child back out after assaulting her to dump her. Just think about what we're saying now. You've assaulted a child. You're going to take her back to the apartment. She's standing outside of the car, which I thought that was strange. You go into the apartment. I wish the child would have ran, hid. But she is a child. Same child that the mother says is afraid of the dark. Why is she outside in the dark? Nobody's out there. That was also asked of Miss Culberson. When you looked out the window, did you see anybody in the parking lot? No, I didn't see anybody. Stay woke now, everybody. Girl child afraid of the dark, 10 years old, standing out in a parking lot by a car in the dark, waiting on Mr. Dinkins to exact her fate. Can you imagine what she went through? He's taking her somewhere to assault her, wherever that was, because we've now learned that the RV or whatever was parked in a park lot of a storage facility. So did he take her there? Because naturally he'd have to press on a code or something to get in there, because most storage facilities and lots are locked. They have keypads in order to enter and exit. This big burly thing sexually assaulting a baby, 10-year-old. Then she's got to ride back to the apartment. Something made her get out of the car, or did he make her get out of the car? I don't know, because I wasn't there. But this is a strange story with a lot of tentacles who are, to me, guilty. as Mr. Dinkins, such as her mother, the grandmother, Miss Culbertson, the girlfriend, and naturally, Mr. Dinkins. Everybody played a role in the demise of Breasia Terrell. Yes, they did. But imagine this thing has assaulted you and you're a child, and then takes you back to the apartment. You stand outside the car, whether you exit on your own out of fear or he told you to get out and wait right there. He goes upstairs to get a gun, and little do you know, he's going to get something to kill you with. Imagine that. You can't. And then he comes back down, this big, burly monster, puts you into the car, and you drive away to meet your fate. Shot 3 times, discarded in a pond. And then later, this thing doubles back to the apartment again to pick up his boy child. Stay woke now. A lot of coming and goings. And this woman is saying nothing. You see, the reason why I know Mr. Dinkins did this is the obvious. All this going back and forth to the apartment, never once is he saying to the girlfriend, where is Breasia? Checkmate. There is your evidence right there, Mr. Defense Attorney. This man brought these 2 children to this woman's house. And you say there's no physical evidence to link him to the victim, but you failed to say why your client never said anything to his own son and the girlfriend, where's Breasia? In all this back and forth, traveling to the apartment, to and fro. You forgot about that in court. He's coming back, and the little girl's outside. Well, can't say where is she because she's outside, and you know she's outside. And you should have known the girlfriend would probably look out the window, but he didn't care. This is how brazen Mr. Dinkins is. You've taken a child out, not caring that she's not going to be noticed by her own brother and your girlfriend at some point through the night. Obviously, you thought they're just going to sleep through the night. You'd sneak back in and then wake up and play crazy like, oh, where's Breasia? Your girlfriend was up. And as somebody has said on another network, who's to say that she wasn't awake when he got the girl out of bed? Checkmate. And said nothing. Who is going to tell that? Oh, yeah, by the way, Mr. Judge, Miss State Attorney, Mr. Defense, I was awake when he crept into my bedroom, our bedroom, and woke the child up and took her out of there and out of the apartment. Who's going to tell that? Was Miss Culbertson awake when Mr. Dinkins went into the bedroom and took the girl child out of the bedroom, exited through the living room, and down the stairs out of the apartment? That's a secret she'll take to the grave. She'll never admit that she was actually awake, eyes open or ears open. You see, that's where Mr. Dinkins messed up. You were doing all this back and forth, going back and forth to this apartment with the child, without the child, coming back to get your son, but you never said anything to Miss Culbertson about where Breasia was if you were not the suspect that took her, or she wandered off and got kidnapped and murdered. You're going all this up and down the stairs, and never say to the girlfriend, hey, get up. Where's Breasia? She's missing. So you see, Mr. Defense Attorney, everything happens for a reason. Sometimes there is no physical evidence directly linking a suspect to a victim. But your own client told on himself going back and forth to the apartment and never waking up the girlfriend to say, hey, where's Breasia? While he's getting his son out of there, second time. Because allegedly, Breasia and the son were sleeping in the same bed. So how are you getting your son out of the bed and not noticing the girl child missing? Thank you. Let's go back in time, everybody. to this wicked, wicked story. Because indeed it is wicked. Let's hear what the defense and the state has to say pertaining to the guilt and innocence of Mr. Dinkins. This is the last day of trial. Local 4 News, WHBF is the source. I think I've already, played that. Hold on one second. Let's hear from the family. KWQC is the source. Thank you all for joining me. Beneath the Leaves is my movie of the week. Sorry, it's late. It's posted to my community board. You can find the movie free on the Roku channel.
Courtroom for the entire trial and wraps up closing arguments.
This is something I never wish on anybody else.
For Breasia Terrell's family, they've waited years for a shot at justice.
The past 3 years, I tell anybody, it's like trying to let a wound heal, and going and seeing all of this now is like somebody done ripped the bandage off the little part that was healed, because this is something that we can never heal completely over.
Now, what they want is in the hands of one judge. Tuesday, it was a battle against the evidence during closing arguments. The state saying they had plenty of circumstantial and physical evidence to prove the case against Dinkins.
The evidence in this case is overwhelming, and the conclusions are clear. The child was taken from that apartment by a man who was not her father. She was taken so that the adult nor her brother would know she was sexually assaulted, and then that child was murdered.
The state pointing to similar soil samples taken from the site where Breasia's remains were found to the ones under Dinkins and Paula. Also to Dinkins buying bleach at the Clinton Walmart, plus statements from Breasia's little brother DL and Jared Brink, the man who said he helped pull a driver out of a ditch near the area where Breasia was found.
When you're looking at why are we attacking DL's credibility, what is the point of making him look like the person who's just making things up?
Exactly.
Because he's placing
well said.
There where Breasia's remains were found.
Yes. The defense, on the other hand, calling the state's theory a fairy tale, saying it's not based in fact.
There simply is no evidence to support the state's theory that this man committed these crimes. You simply cannot say, based upon what has been presented here, that Henry Dinkins set out on a plan to sexually assault this 10-year-old girl and then decide to execute her. Because that's what it was. It was an execution.
The defense pointing out the lack of DNA, blood, hair, or fiber evidence tying Dinkins directly to the crime, and saying the Davenport Police Department focused too soon on Dinkins and didn't look at other possibilities.
Their choice at that point was to make a case against Henry Dinkins, not build a case based upon the evidence. You see, they'd already concluded that Henry Dinkins had done this. And now we're going to build the evidence around that conclusion.
Breasia's family, though, they believe Henry Dinkins is guilty, and now they wait for a verdict.
Everybody knows what we're looking for. We're looking for justice. Justice for Breasia. We want Breasia to be able to fly free.
All right, everybody. KWQC is the source. Well, the family believes Mr. Dinkins committed this crime against Breasia. The state believes he committed this crime, and some of us out here in fairy tale land believe it as well, Mr. Defense Attorney. You see, you have to use deduction. She was in his custody. She did not know anyone at this apartment complex. She had never met this girlfriend before, never spent the night at her house before. She doesn't know anyone in the apartment complex or the neighborhood. The mother never called to say, hey, I came to pick up my daughter, or my daughter called me and I came and picked her up. None of that was ever mentioned during this investigation. And naturally, they would hone in on Mr. Dinkins, law enforcement, because the theory behind an investigation is we work from the inside and then out. Let me repeat that. We work from the inside and we work our way out. And that's not to say that we don't have slap happy detectives who start, finger pointing at different people or possibly the wrong person, but they start with the people who are closest to the victim and who were seen with the victim last. That's just common sense. I'm not going to think about the guy across the street or the woman at the job. I'm going to start where the person was last. So if they were at their home with 5 people, 3 people, then those are the people I'm going to focus on until I can prove they are innocent. And I have no reason to focus on them until further notice. So you only have a 7-year-old, a woman, and Mr. Dinkins. Those are your options. And if the lady says she looked out the window, the girlfriend, and saw the child standing by the car, then you, the police rather, had to prove somebody came up and took the child while Mr. Dinkins was upstairs rambling around in the damn closets. That still shows he knows something about the disappearance, because if somebody did snatch her up while he was rambling in the closet, wouldn't he have went downstairs and said, oh my God, she's missing, stay woke now, and go back upstairs and tell the girlfriend, hey, we need to call the police, Breasia's missing? But that still opens Pandora's box to the girlfriend not saying anything. Well, what was she doing outside with you in the first place, Henry? I looked out the window and saw her standing down there. Her brother is asleep. I'm asleep. Why are you two outside in the dark and the witching hour? Doing what exactly? That's why you know Miss Culbertson knew better and that Mr. Dinkins is the culprit. Because at no point did he ever say the girl child was missing until hours later. And this is after he's already executed her. And as the defense has so politely said in court, it takes a special kind of person to do this. She was executed. Well, you're sitting next to the special kind of person. You're sitting next to the executor. The hell you talking about? And it's amazing how the defense attorney can sit there and wind the story up to his liking and his taste, knowing full well you're sitting next to the monster that stole the life of a 10-year-old. And you want to use all these fancy words and wordings to try to make the regular people, the laymen, appear dumb as fuck. Well, we're not dumb, some of us, because we know better, those of us who are woke. He took her out and he covered up the evidence. And many people are going to question, well, there was no DNA on the machete or whatever he used. Well, let's talk about that. During trial, it was mentioned that there was some brush covering the body of the child, and they were neatly cut. Stay woke now. This is where the machete comes in. He cut those branches to cover the girl child, to conceal her body. And then the bleach was bought in Clinton, Iowa, a whole entirely different city. And so nobody could say they saw him in the neighboring town or whatever where he lived. He bought the bleach to clean off the damn machete from cutting the trees. Soil up under the Impala matches the soil from where the victim was discarded. Now, some of you are going to wonder about that. Should be obvious, because his car was there. He had to get murky and dirty to dispose of the body, dump the body, shoot the kid, cut the branches with the machete, then crawl back out of there and get in his car. That's where the bleach comes in. He cleaned the machete because he had been using that to cut the tree branches. Some were thinking, well, did he dismember the child or blah, blah, blah? We didn't hear that. But he used a machete to cut the branches because they said the branches were clean cut. That's where the machete comes in. Going to buy the bleach in the wee hour with the boy child, that is to clean off the machete. And wherever he assaulted the girl child. Wet clothes in the bathroom. That was asked of Miss Culbertson, the girlfriend, why would her clothes be wet? Is it possible that they got wet while she was taking a shower, or somebody took a shower and they were in the floor perhaps? The girlfriend nodded yes. It's easy for, yes, your clothes to get wet. These were obviously her street clothes she wore to the apartment. Same clothes handed back to Aisha, the mother, by Mr. Dinkins. Wet towel was dirty. A washcloth was extremely dirty, they said. Perhaps the mother sent the washcloth along with the children's clothes. She also sent pajamas that they never wore. And the victim was found in that long t-shirt with a bra and shorts at the crime scene. Boy child wore a long shirt. Even the girlfriend was seen wearing a long t-shirt when the police came the next morning to search the apartment. So everybody's wearing white t-shirts, long shirts. Why? As one YouTuber said, there's something about the shirts. Well, easy access. Easy access. Easy to pull up to handle my business. And as far as the shorts and bra being found, as I said, I did not stay in tune with every detail of the case, but I'm wondering if they were on the victim or off of the victim. The bra and the shorts. 4X. Why would you want to dress two small children in a 4X t-shirt when the mother sent pajamas? So you see, there is a lot that, yes, indeed, is circumstantial. But the soil under your car, how would you have the same soil underneath your car in a town that you don't frequent or live in or visit? And it's also the same soil sample where the child's body was discarded, Mr. Dinkins. Can you explain that? And we have a Caucasian man who's no longer alive who helped pull you out of the ditch, saw you there. He's not going to forget what you look like or your car. You also offered him money. $100. And you know what's so funny about that number, 100? That's the same number the child said he heard the father mentioning to some guys that were fishing. Obviously at the same locale where the body was discarded. Offered him $100 for, I guess, a fishing pole. Now, what are the odds of a small child hearing that conversation of $100 being offered pertaining to some fishing poles? And that's also the same amount of money offered to this white man to help him get pulled out of the ditch. And why would you need to be pulled out of a ditch when you were supposed to be at home in the bed with your girlfriend and the two children sleeping in the bedroom? What the hell are you doing in an entirely different town in the witching hour, sir, with your son, sir? And yes, a child's testimony can differ because, one, he was a boy child when this mess went on, and naturally his memory could have been fuzzy at the time because he's up in the wee hour from sleep, aiding his father in a crime, not knowing. Not knowing. So his version to the court and detectives would be all over the place because, as a forensic interviewer told the court, children don't repeat a story in sequence. You can't expect a child to repeat a story in sequence. They may forget this part and leave this part out, then remember, oh, yeah, we went over here, because they're children. Some children are more meticulous in details than others. Every child is not the same. And the sad part of this story, the sick part of this story, besides the death of the child, assault of a child, kidnapping of a child, then murder of a child, discarding a child like trash in a pond, this boy child has to live with knowing what happened to his sister by his own biological father. All these people are guilty to me. I blame the grandmother who allowed the child to walk out of the house when she was not supposed to be going over there to Mr. Dinkins' girlfriend's house. I blame the mother because I believe she acknowledged that Mr. Dinkins was a pedophile. And you hear her in an interview saying it surfaced. Well, I like to know when it surfaced, ma'am, Aisha. When did you find out that he had a past criminal record of assaulting a 5-year-old? First day you met him, second day, year 1, year 2, what? Because I'm going to go in the belly of the beast for just a second. Something I have not heard anyone mention on any crime show or in the chat or comment sections on YouTube. If Breasia was about 2 or so when Aisha met him and they dated and played house or whatever, and then she got pregnant at some point, bearing his boy child, who's to say he wasn't touching Breasia as a toddler? Checkmate. Because he already had the history of assaulting a 5-year-old, and he did prison time for that assault. Yes, as far as I know, sweetheart, he is. So if he went to prison at 18 for molesting a 5-year-old, what makes you think that when he got out, he still didn't have those tendencies? And then you have to use deduction. He's probably been molesting children for a long time up until he became 18. Now you factor in, he does prison time, he gets out, it's still on the brain, it's still innately in Mr. Dinkins. So now he meets this woman with a girl child. You want me to believe he never molested Breasia as a toddler while he was coming and going and staying or whatever he was doing with Aisha. Stay woke now. And that goes for any other girl children he's came in contact with thereafter his release from prison. He never changed. The state wanted to introduce evidence that he had searched porn and abuse of black girls, abused black girls 10 days before he abducted, assaulted, and murdered Breasia Terrell. What about that? So he had never changed. Mr. Dinkins was still a dirty bird. And at 18, you know better than to be fondling a 5-year-old girl. It's not like he was playing house with a 17-year-old or a 16-year-old. You're touching a 5-year-old. So 9 times out of 10, he's possibly been molested himself because you mimic what you have learned or what has been done to you. And most pedophiles, rapists, serial killers have been physically abused, mentally abused, and sexually abused. So somebody was a dirty bird in his household. His sister has spoken to the news weeks ago saying he is not the type to do that. But that makes no sense what she said because he's done prison time for doing just that. And you failed to say that during your interview, Miss Lady. He ain't the type. He is the type. Now we have a whole dead kid. So hell yeah, he's the type. And he killed her because he didn't want to have an investigation. That's the purpose of murdering the victim. Rapists become murderers as not to be investigated. So sister, you tell the news that you two are close. You grew up together, obviously, I'm assuming. So what makes me think Mr. Dinkins did not molest you as well? Checkmate. So now I have to ask, what is the age difference between Mr. Dinkins and his sister? Let's hear from this ignorant woman who believes her brother is not the culprit behind the death of Breasia Terrell. Lord have mercy. God help us. Local 4 News, WHBF is the source. This content was uploaded 4 weeks ago, 7/31/2023. Thank you all so much for your time. It's amazing how people will covet for the accused. And this is why we continue to have crime and children abused and sexually abused and physically abused, because people know what's going on and they refuse to call law enforcement, the Department of Human Services. They refuse to step in. But if they are close in age, I won't doubt that he's abused her, and she's either locked it away in her head or just refusing to acknowledge her brother is a killer. Oh yeah, I know he likes touching girls, but he ain't no murderer. And the reason why I know she knows what he's done is because she throws in the part about sinning and etc. and people make mistakes and all of those type of BS. She's coveting right there. She doesn't want to come out and just say, yeah, I know he went to prison for molesting a 5-year-old, but he didn't do this right here. 1 second, everybody. Sorry about that. Person gives you the day off of work and don't even know that you're off from work. What kind of crazy nonsense? Okay, everybody. Rudely interrupted. Nonsense. Made me lose my train of thought. Sorry about that, everybody. Jesus Christ. I've never seen people so ridiculous. But as far as the sister goes, as I said, if they were close in age, she brags about how close they are, basically denying what he has been to prison for. Why would I not think he's done it to relatives, other girlfriends' children, other people's children, family members, his own sister, and any woman that he's dated who's had children? So how many children has he molested since he's been breathing? How about that? Because like I said, in order to molest a child at 18, you're considered an adult at 18. So you know right from wrong. I don't care what kind of crime you commit. You know better. You should know by 18, I shouldn't be touching this little girl. Unless you've seen this behavior done, you've done it yourself. It's been done to you, all of the above. So has he been molesting children after his prison sentence was completed? Will we find out there are more children have been molested by Mr. Dinkins? I'm now going to play you commentary pertaining to the sister. Thank you for joining me. Sorry about the interruption. Mercy. Once again, this content was uploaded July 31st of this year. Local 4 News, WHBF is the source.
News at 10. We're now a week away from the trial for the man accused of kidnapping and killing Breasia Terrell. Tonight, Local 4 News brings you an exclusive sit-down interview with the suspect's sister. Nina McQuaid never backed down from supporting Henry Dinkins the past 3 years. She says he didn't kill anyone. Local 4's Linda Cook has tonight's top story.
I know that my brother is innocent. The sister of a man accused of a terrible crime maintains his innocence. 50-year-old Henry Dinkins faces charges of murder and kidnapping in the death of 10-year-old Breasia Terrell in 2020. Days before his trial is set to begin in Cedar Rapids, his sister, Nita McQuay, spoke exclusively to Local 4 News. I don't believe that my brother would commit such a crime like that. I feel that only God knows, and the parties that were there. McQuay speaks with her brother, who is incarcerated, about 5 days per week. Meanwhile, she and the rest of her family have struggled for about 3 years, ever since the day in July 2020 when Breasia disappeared. I have my good days and bad days, but long as I can talk to my brother and talk to my family, I'm just fine. It has been hard. Her faith has helped get her through the bad days. I believe in God. I believe in faith. I also believe in what's right. Meanwhile, she misses her brother, her only sibling. Me and my brother always been close. We did everything together. Henry's always been an awesome brother. Always been there for me. I've always been there for him. We're like two peas in a pod. The case is so familiar to Scott County residents that a change of venue for the trial was made to Lynn County. McQuay asked people not to judge Dinkins until all the facts are in. Don't judge until facts are proven. No one's guilty until proven. Henry is not this monster that they portrayed him to be. He's not that. We all make mistakes in our life, and we all have done good, bad, and ugly. This is Linda Cook, Local 4 News.
Dinkins' trial begins next Tuesday in Lynn County. More than 100 witnesses could testify. That trial expected to go on for weeks.
2 peas in a pod. We are very close. So I'm going to say it now. Ma'am, were you molested by your brother? Were you molested by your brother? I'm curious. Or could it be somebody molested him in the family? And that is how Henry Dinkins became a child molester himself. How about that? Don't judge him innocent to proven guilty. Oh, we know the law, ma'am. I'd like to know, how do you feel about Henry Dinkins now after everything's been mentioned in court? His phone pinging at the location of the dead girl's remains. Soil under his car matches the soil where the child was discarded. How would your brother's car have soil under it matching the soil samples where Breasia was discarded, ma'am? He's supposed to be in the bed, sleeping on an air mattress in the living room with Miss Culberson. Instead, he's out running around in different towns buying bleach and buying clothes and flip-flops and things. Did you ask your brother why he was out in Clinton, Iowa, buying these items? Did you ask him that? Did you ask him why his phone pings out there where the dead girl's body was discovered? Did you ask him what the hell the soil is doing up underneath that Impala that matches the area where she was buried, discarded? Did you ask about the tree branches that were neatly cut, 9 times out of 10 used by the machete he had that the boy child saw him with? Why is he buying bleach when the lady has bleach in her apartment? And it was asked of her in court, ma'am, do you have bleach in your apartment already? Yes, I do. So why would he be buying bleach in an entirely different town in the wee hours? Changing his clothes. Even the witness who helped him pull the car out described the same clothes he had on. Come on now. Same clothes. So now this Caucasian man, he's made up his testimony to the detectives, which was recorded. So this man made it up too. And they even asked you to describe the clothes he had on and changed into. And the clothes that he changed into matches the description of the clothes that the man saw at the scene of the crime, who helped him with his car when it got stuck. And why would your car be getting stuck in an entirely different city in the wee hours? What the hell were you doing out there, Mr. Dinkins? So, sister, I'm going to ask you again. With all the information relayed in court, you still believe your brother is innocent? He ain't that type. Well, then what the fuck is he doing with a prison record for molesting a 5-year-old? He ain't that type. You mean he's the type to molest but not murder? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're trying to tell us? We're two peas in a pod. We're very close. He would do anything for me. You should be very careful the words you speak, ma'am. You should also be very careful in aiding a sadistic creature. I don't give a fuck about him being your brother. A freak is a freak. And there's no reason for a grown man to be attracted to children. Oh, did he also explain to you why he was searching porn 10 days before murdering Breasia Terrell? How about that? So who did that? The 7-year-old? At the time his son did it? One of his friends used his phone to look at abused girls, black girls. Why would you be searching abused girls in your phone? He's not a reporter. He's not doing research. He isn't in college. He isn't taking courses in criminology. He's just curious, huh? I just want to know about abused girls. I ain't got nothing else better to do. I don't work. I ain't got a job. I want to search abused girls. Also, during testimony, we find out there were 2 video consoles in this lady's apartment, which I found that interesting too. Xbox, PlayStation, whatever. And I thought to myself, is a woman using these for her own entertainment? Hell no. It's for this big burly ass bear to sit around and loaf around and play video games all day while the girlfriend worked for AT&T customer service. While he's playing video games, she's working on her computer for 7-8 hours straight. Imagine that. 2 cars, an Impala and a Camaro. Whose cars are they and whose names are they in? She's got king and queen on the cars, which I thought was quite disgusting when I'm looking at the dash camera of the police officer trying to get to the bottom of this child missing. He's saying out in the parking lot, you get a view of this black car that they've put all these symbols on. It looks a hot ass mess. And I'm going to take your memory back to him offering the man $100 for help, and allegedly the boy child saying he offered some people who were fishing, he offered them $100 for the fishing poles. Where the fuck did Mr. Dinkins get money from? He didn't have no damn job. How did he acquire that RV that was parked on the private lot? Allegedly, I believe they said he stayed in a trailer or something. So how was he paying rent if he didn't have a job? And where would he get $100 from to pay anybody for helping him out? And he doesn't have a job. Calling Ms. Coberson his friend to law enforcement. But yet, you stayed with her. You had sexual relations with her, I'm assuming. But she was just your friend. As this young lady said on her YouTube channel last night. You see how they talk about you? These dirty men. Behind closed doors, you're just a friend. Or, well, your girlfriend behind closed doors, but in public, you're just a friend. Excuse me. And I found it weird watching that body camera footage at the apartment complex that morning with the police officer. He's trying to talk to these 2 parents. They're arguing with each other. He walks off and she walks off. Who the hell would walk off and a whole child is missing? Explain it to Angela. Explain that to me. Why would you walk off? Yes, you're the mother. You're angry. He's lost your baby. But I'm not going to walk off from the property where my child was allegedly last seen. I'm getting ready to walk that property. I'm getting ready to knock on doors. I'm getting ready to show people pictures of my baby. I'm going to have pictures on my phone, allegedly, to show you, hey, do you see this little girl? Did you see this little girl? I'm going to knock on some doors, because maybe had the mother knocked on somebody's door, the right person would have opened the door and gave you the business and said, yeah, I saw her standing out there by that car last night. They woke everybody. But you'll never know that because you never knocked on anybody's door. You never knocked on anybody's door. And I find that very strange. One second, everybody. How many of you in this audience would leave the property of where your child was last seen just because you're having a disagreement with the biological father? I'll wait. Your baby is missing. It is now daylight savings time, hours later, and nobody has seen the baby, allegedly. Would you walk off the property? Hell no. You would walk it to your feet. Your knees were bloody. Bang, 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 bang. Anybody seen this girl? Anybody seen this girl? This is my baby. She's missing. This is what she was wearing. This is how she looks. This is how tall she is. This is her skin complexion. She had hair bows, no hair bows. That's what you would do. And a lot of us have a problem with the mother. A lot of us have a problem with the grandmother. And a lot of us have a problem with Miss Culberson. You all got to carry the burden that you failed Breasia Terrell. She deserves better than what she got. Allegedly, the state says she couldn't see, she couldn't hear. Well, maybe she shouldn't have been spending the night with strangers. Checkmate. Who are these people? Because sadly, Breasia is no longer with us. But there are two other boy children left in the custody of Miss Aisha. And I have to ask this question. And please don't get offended, because there's no need to get offended. Are you in the best shape mentally to be taking care of children, Miss Aisha? Because your son sounds very combative during trial. He's a little older. He's been through a lot since the death of his sister. The man who's accused of killing her is his own father. So I would say he would have a really bad attitude. So I can't judge the child for appearing to be mean during trial, because I'm sure he's talked to a lot of detectives, psychiatrists, counselors over the years, and he's exhausted as a boy child, as he should be. And he's been put in a terrible predicament to have to repeat what he saw and heard on that fateful night in 2020. Because he probably doesn't want to accept the fact that his father is a sadist and his sister is no longer alive. That's a lot to swallow for a child. And I think as the years have surpassed, he's become angry. And you can tell during the testimony, he was combative with the defense attorney, asking him questions about his versions told to the detectives originally versus what he was telling the court during trial. And as a forensic detective spoke, children do not tell stories in sequences. It's expected that they'll leave something out or forget something. Exactly. You heard the sister speak here in this audio. Please go back to the beginning of this live if you've missed that commentary. And she is upholding her brother. This content was uploaded 4 weeks ago. She spoke to the news and she's saying, let all the facts come out before judging him. He's not that type of person, but she knows that's bullshit because he's already been to prison for child molestation. He just didn't go for murder because he wanted to make sure this next time I touch someone inappropriately, they will not speak. They will not tell on me. They will not point the finger at I. And that's why he killed Breasia Terrell. And I believe Henry Dinkins, ham hock loving Dinkins, killed Breasia Terrell because he sexually violated her and he did not want her to tell that he had done so. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to the next commentary, everybody. This is a very disturbing case. It's very depressing to me. I just try my best not to talk about children's stories because they're just so damn depressing. So I've brought you information from trial, closing statements from the defense and the state. I brought you information from the family who spoke out after arguments were rendered. I've also brought you commentary now with the sister speaking 4 weeks ago, upholding her brother. It's just, it's devastating to just imagine what she possibly went through. And it's hurtful because, as it's been said so many times, children do not ask to be here. They do not choose their parents. And none of us chose to be here, and nor did we choose our parents or guardians. And that's what people need to understand about child rearing. If you don't have the fortitude to be a parent, somewhere in between giving birth and raising your child, you realize it is not for you. You need to hand the baton over to somebody else. And that's what I feel in this case. The child was not in the right custody because at some point, Aisha learned that he had been to prison. So you had no business sending your child over to his house because she never clarified in the interview when she learned that when she had learned that he was a pedophile. She made sure not to mention that. Oh yeah, I found out day 1, day 2, or 1 year into the relationship, 5 years. Well, exactly, Woodstock. That's my point. She never told in the interview when she learned. She just said it surfaced. And I have all of that content posted to my community board if you need verification of that interview that she did with a local news station of her learning of him being a pedophile, and she just glazed right over it. Yes, he acted weird. I was wondering about him being in prison so long. So that means she knew he had been to prison. So if you knew he went to prison, then that means you had to know what he went to prison for. Bingo card. So when did Aisha learn of his criminal background? Day 1, day 2, week 1, month 1, 5 months into the relationship, 2 years into the relationship. When did Aisha learn? Because in the end, when you say surfaced, you need to put a time stamp on that. Because you are at fault for letting him, 1, come around your children at any point in your house and knew he was a pedophile. 2, sending her over there. You had no fucking right to send her over there. And frankly, I would not have let him see my child either, because a lot of pedophiles are dual offenders, for those who do not know that. Hold on 1 second, everybody. Okay. Some offenders are dual offenders. They molest boys and girls. The men are bisexual, so they prefer boy children and girl children. So let me ask that. Is he a dual offender? Because she mentions that talking to the news, Miss Aisha, I was worried about how long he had been incarcerated. So that means she knew at some point in the relationship, in her dealings with Mr. Dinkins, he had been to penitentiary. So did she know what he went for? Because she could have easily Googled it. So long as you have a person's Google government name, you can get the docket for the charge or charges in your jurisdiction and possibly anywhere else. And as I have said, America is not as big as people think When people live in a town or surrounding counties, you can learn all types of things about people because people talk. And I refuse to believe she did not know he had been out of penitentiary and what he went to penitentiary for. It's bullshit. Scott County wanted to introduce evidence pertaining to Mr. Dinkins. This is very disturbing news I'm about to bring to you. The Scott County attorney actually introduced new evidence in Breasia Terrell case. This was uploaded 1 month ago. Local 4 News, WHBF, is the source. Please pay attention to what you're about to hear, because this is very disturbing. Thank you for your time, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. Please check out my community board for polls, updates, and the movie of the week is Beneath the Leaves, now playing free on the Roku channel.
Dinkins searched for child pornography around the time the girl disappeared. That is tonight's top story.
The 50-year-old is charged with first-degree murder and kidnapping. More than 100 witnesses are on the list to testify in his trial next month in Lynn County. Court records indicate the evidence prosecutors want to introduce say Breasia and her brother spent the night at Henry Dinkins' apartment July 9th of 2020, and that Dinkins' girlfriend at the time said there was no sign of Dinkins or Breasia Terrell very early the next morning.
Court documents indicate the girlfriend says Dinkins came home after sunrise without the girl. Breasia's brother told officers he and his father went to Walmart to buy Clorox. Investigators say Dinkins' phone pinged at a Walmart in Clinton early on July 10th. Court records also say the evidence prosecutors want admitted is that Dinkins searched pornographic websites for material involving the sexual abuse of young black girls in the 10 days before Breasia Terrell disappeared. Henry Dinkins and his family maintain his innocence. We go into much greater detail about the story online at ourquadcities.com.
Local 4 News is the source. WHBF is the source. How disturbing is that? We know that he went to penitentiary for molesting a 5-year-old child. I don't know if it was a boy or a girl. He was released from prison. He lived his life. We do not know what he had done in the time that he was released from prison. We know he's met this Miss Culberson lady who he was visiting with the children, and he also had a relationship with Miss Aisha at some point to bear a boy child with her. And now we learn that his phone shows data of him searching abused black girls 10 days or so before the kidnap, sexual assault, and murder of Breasia Terrell. So I'm going to say this to the sister. What the fuck are you talking about? Wait on the evidence. I don't have to wait for a damn thing. Soil samples. The child was in his custody. The child was outside of the car in the dark. The child disappears. He never once comes back in the house 2 times to say the child's missing. He has a criminal record messing with people's children. And frankly, you would know more than anybody because you're his sister. Stop the bullshit. Just stop it. It's disrespectful to the dead and it's disrespectful to the living. You know your brother is a monster, and you go on the news talking all this crap like he's some great Samaritan. He is not. He's a fucking bum. And he didn't even register with the sex registry because you're supposed to always give notice where you're moving to, where you're currently living. He didn't do that from my understanding. So that leads me to believe Miss Culberson knew he was a pedophile. His so-called friend. A fat-ass bum laying up off of a woman who worked every day, and she's mediocre, mild-mannered, tolerating a fool. A bum, a fool, non-working SOB / pedophile, now / murderer. And 9 times out of 10, she knew he wasn't right because she tells it in the court. Her stomach was turned up because she knew he had that girl out there. She knew the girl was outside of the car and the child had no fucking business being outside with a grown-ass man at 2 or 3 in the damn morning, and she didn't buck up and speak her piece with Mr. Dinkins. Because once she realized the girl was gone, and then she's trying to call him allegedly and realizes his phone is here at the apartment. When he finally walked in, she should have said something and read that motherfucker his rights. Where the hell are you going? Hey, where's this girl child at? I don't see her in that bedroom. What the fuck is going on here? We need to call the police. She should have called his bluff because he would have had to answer. Oh, she's outside. And that's when she should have went ham. What the fuck is she doing outside and her brother's up here in the bed sleep? It couldn't have been Queen. Because soon as I got up and saw the little girl missing and my man is missing, oh, I'm already on radar. Hell yeah, I'm looking everywhere in that apartment and it's small. They ain't in here. I'm carrying my black ass outside. I'm going outside. We ain't looking out no damn windows. I'm going outside. And I come out there and see a girl child standing with you at 3 in the morning. I'm getting ready to buck up. Oh, what's this right here? What is this right here, sir? Why is she out here and not in the house sleep? And it would have been no misunderstandings. Believe that. Because I would have told baby girl, sweetheart, go on upstairs and get in the bed. And I would have got in the bed with her and the little boy. And I would have told him, you might need to sleep in the car. Because I'm trying to understand, why are you out here with a child at this time of night? Now, did Miss Culbertson know the little girl was afraid of the dark? I don't know. But I also saw information in someone's chat last night that allegedly Miss Culbertson asked Aisha, did the girl sleepwalk? So that leads me to wonder if Miss Culbertson knew all along there was some nefarious business going on with her boyfriend and his child, and then she want to try to sugarcoat it by asking Miss Aisha after the fact, did the girl sleepwalk? You know fucking well she wasn't sleepwalking. Because your man refused to tell you anything about the little girl during those hours. So you knew nefarious business was going on. And the fact that you didn't even want to come out and search for the little girl after the police left your house searching, it's all on the camera, ma'am. He asked you. He says, oh, you don't want to come out here and search? You don't want to come out here and search? You just shut the fucking door. That's all on camera. So here is a cop trying to understand why these black people ain't interested in finding this little girl. You got a mom and daddy arguing, both of them taking off leaving, and the girlfriend shuts the damn door after he searches the apartment, and she ain't trying to search for the little girl either. What the fuck is going on here? This is what's wrong with America. You people just keep breeding and breeding and breeding these kids like Skittles, and you don't give two rats ass about them. And then you sit up and want to brag about, oh, they play basketball. Oh, they're on the soccer team. Oh, my child doing this. You don't give a fuck about your kid. Somebody right now come along talking about, I'm going to take your baby on a trip. Can your baby spend the night? You can't wait to push your baby out the motherfucking door to go sit up in somebody's house that you don't know a fucking thing about. You don't know who live there. You don't know if they own drugs, fentanyl. You don't know what the fuck they doing. And just like somebody said, the fact that this stupid bitch had a gun up under her bed, the kids could have easily got up under the bed and started playing with the gun and killed each other. Yes, co-signing. Exactly. It's too many negatives with this story pertaining to Breasia and her brother. And her brother, he was in the wrong care as well because he lived with Aisha too. I'm blaming everybody in the story. None of you were fit to rear kids. The girlfriend, a gun in the apartment. Allegedly, they said there were more guns there. I don't know. Because like I said, I did not follow the trial all the way through because I just did not want to get wrapped up into that storyline. But I'm bringing you the intel and backtracking. This is a cautionary tale of why you have to be diligent in raising children. You need to know where your children are going. You need to know things about the people who are raising your children, visiting your children, related to your children, because when your children are out of sight, anything can happen. And that is what happened to Breasia Terrell. She got in the wrong hands, because the hands she originally were in weren't no better than going to Dinkins and Culberson's house. The mother already knew he had a past. We're going to go on and scratch it and say she knew. So she didn't have no business sending no 10-year-old over there. And when I looked at her in a video of her and her mother dancing, you could see she was nicely shaped. Her legs were, filling out and everything. He's not looking at her as a child. He's looking at her as a woman. No different than when he was 18, fondling a 5-year-old. The game is the same. Same man, same MO. Nothing's changed from 18 to 47. Stay woke. 18-year-old pedophile, 47-year-old pedophile. It is the same. It is the same. We are in desolate times, and you have got to be aware of your children. You cannot allow your children to go with people fondle kids. And I don't give a fuck if it's your brother, your father, your grandfather, your uncle, whoever. They cannot have access to your children. And you, frankly, don't have any business dealing with them if you know they have messed with kids. That is the bottom line. Breasia was not cared for properly. She or her brothers. And I feel sorry for the remaining two, because Aisha knew better. And she's never going to admit to you when she found out about his past, because that shows complicity. Did the grandmother know he was a pedophile? She ain't going to mention it. And she's just as ignorant too. What fool goes into court testifying, I don't ask my grandchildren nothing. I don't question my grandchildren. Well, you should have. The plan was just for the boy to go. And you should have told that girl, she ain't going nowhere. I say what goes in this house. So that lets you know the grandmother is unfit. She's keeping the children and allowing the girl child to go somewhere where she wasn't supposed to go. And then you get in court with a jacked up ass attitude. Well, I don't question the kids, because they asked the court, do you know what happened to Breasia Terrell? Did DL tell you what happened that night? I don't question nothing. I wait to see if they gonna tell me. What are you talking about, lady? A whole baby was missing, and you're gonna tell me you ain't gonna ask your own grandson, hey, what the hell happened over there? Tell grandma the truth. What happened? Birds of a feather. Tainted seeds. Grandmama ignorant. Mama ignorant. So now you got to pray for her children. They don't grow up ignorant like the mama and the grandmama. You also better pray that them boy children don't have this man's DNA, DL. Because the older child is not his son, but DL is his blood, flesh of flesh, bone of bone. And this man is a pedophile. So we have to pray this boy doesn't pick up his dirty ways. Y'all better stay woke now. Because child molestation is a generational curse. And children mimic what they have seen and what has been done to them. Because 9 times out of 10, Henry Dinkins was molested as a child. That's why he was molesting a 5-year-old at 18. He possibly had been molested throughout his adolescence, childhood, and he mimicked what was done to him. So now we have to pray his own son does not become a pedophile, because it's in the blood. There's no denying that. But he doesn't have to be like his father. Let me make that clear. He doesn't have to be like his father. And many people are saying these boys need counseling. And yes, I pray that they are continuously getting it, because this is a lot to deal with. Having your family in the news, people scrutinizing your family, talking about you, such as what I'm doing right here. But I'm calling a spade, because it's time for somebody to step up and stop sugarcoating child rape. Stop sugarcoating it. Stop pushing it under the rug and trying to make it go away, and keep trying to, pretend that uncle, granddaddy, oh, he's changed, he's better now. No, he's not. Let's go back in time to when the child's body was discovered. Oh, Lordy. Well, before I do that, let me let you hear from a witness who gave information to the detectives pertaining to Mr. Dinkins and the car. This man is no longer alive, from my understanding. WQAD News 8 is the source. Thank you all so much for joining me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $ Big Angie, 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. And if you'd like to give your opinion before I end this stream, I can drop the link and you can come up on the panel and give me your opinion pertaining to Mr. Dinkins. And do you believe he is guilty of kidnapping, sexual assault, and the murder of Breasia Terrell?
Day of the trial of Henry Dinkins, a man accused of killing 10-year-old Breasia Terrell. Yesterday, we heard the reading of the deposition of a man who has since died, who alleges he pulled Dinkins out of a ditch the night Breasia disappeared. Tonight, News 8's Nina Burns breaks down the video footage from his interview in our continuing coverage tonight at 6.
I take that gravel road that goes around the backside of the cookhouse. Okay. And then I jump onto the 4-lane and head south. Okay.
In 2020, during the early morning hours, Jared Brink took his average route to work.
About a half mile around the corner, and the black man jumped out the road in front of me and waved his arms.
The man told Brink he was stuck in a ditch.
Yeah, I said he made a wrong turn. He was coming back from Clinton Davenport.
Brink decided to help that man out of the ditch.
When I looked at him, I did not suspect anything like of an abnormal person. Okay.
The man then offering Brink $100 multiple times. Brink declined before resuming his normal day.
What color was the car? I'm almost positive it was maroon. Correct.
But this interview took place nearly a year after the incident, after Brink says he heard about a body being discovered near the pond and told his friend.
I said, you know what's weird about them finding that body up there or whatever? I said, last fall. I said, I can't remember the date. I said, I pulled a black man out of the ditch there.
His friend showing Brink a flyer of Henry Dinkins and his maroon Chevy Impala.
Like, oh my God. He said, you don't know the maroon Impala? And I said, no, what? Well, that's the girl that's missing. That's what I'm speculating. That's that car.
Brink then identifies the shorts the man wore.
For some reason, I see kind of some kind of blue design.
Bingo card.
You know, yeah, the shorts.
The location, shorts, and time of morning, all pointing towards Henry Dinkins. In Davenport, Nina Burns, WQAD News 8.
And remember, we have continuing coverage of the trial. We are streaming it live every day on our website and YouTube page.
All right. WQAD News 8 is the source. This was uploaded a little while ago, 6 days ago. The man is no longer alive, but he was alerted to the information about the child's remains by a friend, and he remembers what Mr. Dinkins had on that fateful morning, helping him with the car. So what are the odds that he describes the same shorts that Ms. Culberson has described in trial that he had changed into? Stay woke. And why are you changing your clothes in the wee hours? Why are you going back and forth to the apartment? Where is the little girl? Why are you taking your son to buy bleach in an entirely different city than the jurisdiction where you live? And why is your son repeating these things of saying, machete, and bleach. And the defense wants to say, well, the child heard this from detectives and blah, blah, blah. Maybe he did, I don't know. Or maybe he did see something. Because if he took the child with him to go purchase the bleach at Walmart, allegedly the child had access to that other phone, then he possibly did see Dinkins cleaning the machete with the bleach, because the machete was used to cut the branches which were found atop of the decedent, the dead girl. That's why he needed bleach. Now, where did he assault Breasia? I don't know. Could have assaulted her in the car. Could have took her out on the ground and molested her, raped her. It's not going to be in DNA if you take a person out on the ground and you don't even know where on the ground the person was assaulted. He knew what he was doing. Yeah, her DNA is going to be in the car, hair, clothes, fabric transference, because she was in the car. But I can tell you what, that white t-shirt shouldn't have fabric in that car, because she came in her own damn clothes in that car. And she didn't have them on when she was found at that pond. She had on that bra, shorts, and Mr. Dinkins t-shirt. And why did he not use the children's sleeping clothes? Yes, feet were dirty. I mentioned that about the washcloth. Returned back with the clothes to Aisha. There was a dirty washcloth in with their clothes, and her clothes were wet. This is a hot ass mess. But I pray that the judge will get it right, and he will stand trial. More information. KWQC is the source.
Davenport girl 3 years ago is heading towards its conclusion. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Redrick Terry.
I'm Paula Sands. Both the prosecution and defense rested their cases in the Henry Dinkins trial today. TV6's Jenna Jackson is outside the Scott County Courthouse right now with the latest on this tonight. Jenna?
Yeah, Paula, Redrick, as you mentioned, the state and defense both rested today, but before the defense rested, they filed a motion for acquittal on both charges. This is customary. It happens almost all the time in trials like this. Now, the defense saying that the state did not prove that Henry Dinkins committed first-degree murder or first-degree kidnapping, saying no reasonable jury would find him guilty of either of those charges. Also noting insufficient evidence like DNA, fingerprint, or trace evidence tying Dinkins to the crimes. Now, during the state's rebuttal, however, the state asserted that while this case has a lot of circumstantial evidence, if you follow the chain of events that have been testified to, they prove Henry Dinkins did commit both of those charges. The state here highlighting video evidence, the video of Dinkins buying bleach at the Clinton Walmart, the soil samples from the remains site being similar to the ones found underneath his Impala, and the bullets found with the remains having similar characteristics to the test-fired bullets from the gun found in the pond. Now, today was also the first time we heard the state assert that Dinkins sexually assaulted Breasia prior to her murder.
And the state asserts that Mr. Dinkins underestimated this child and realized that this child was not going to keep what happened between them a secret.
Exactly.
And so therefore, that being said, he had to murder that child so nobody would know that he sexually abused that child.
Now, the judge sided with the state in that and denied the defense's motion for acquittal. The defense then rested their case and did not offer any testimony from any witnesses. Henry Dinkins also did not testify on his own behalf. In Davenport, I'm Jenna Jackson, KWQC TV6 News.
All right, thank you, Jenna. Closing arguments start tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. As always, we're covering all of this trial in Scott County. You'll also find updates and a live feed on our TV6 News app and website.
KWQC, Channel 6 News, uploaded 2 days ago. The defense wanted an acquittal. The judge denied it. The judge is currently reviewing the case. It may take up to 60 days before a verdict will be rendered by a judge. The defense brought forward a bench trial to the judge, which means there is no jury. A lot of people have questioned why Mr. Dinkins would want a bench trial, because maybe he felt like he would fare better with just one person making the decision of his fate. Jury trial, people become emotional. People become emotional pertaining to children, and he probably knew that they would vote guilty. So let me try it with a judge only. But we know that in jury trials, all it takes is one person to hang the jury to have a mistrial. So perhaps you made a grave mistake by not having a jury trial. Gun bullets found to be similar to the bullets found in the victim. Gun thrown in the pond, very stupid mistake. He's known to own guns, Mr. Dinkins. Why would you throw that there? I'm curious. Why would you throw the gun in the pond? See, this is why we know you were there. Because everything leads to the pond. The back and forth to the apartment, your phone pinging out there, an eyewitness saying you got stuck out there, your own child saying you were somewhere out in the middle of nowhere. He don't know exactly, but it was somewhere where people were fishing. You were there. And the sick part of the story is that you obviously had to have had two phones, or Ms. Culberson is lying about the phone that was on the charger, because you had your son take out the battery or something to the one phone where you all were at the Walmart. And detectives had to have had knowledge of a phone in order to say that it pinged out there at the same location where the dead girl was discovered. And then we have an eyewitness that put you out there and you offering him $100 to help him get out of the ditch because you were there. You were out there discarding that young lady. And you're trying to act like you were not. Let's go back to the discovery of the girl child and what was found. And also let's hear from the young man. I believe I already played that information. The witness testimony that places Dinkins in the area. I played that. I could play it again for those who didn't hear it. Channel 8 News. This man is no longer alive, but he described what Mr. Dinkins was wearing. All this is posted to my community board if you need verification. But I'm going to go back up here to where the anthropologist discusses the discovery of the girl child. It's very scary information. It's almost a 10-minute video. The link is in the chat. If you have an opinion pertaining to this case, you like the world to hear what you have to say pertaining to Mr. Dinkins, Breasia, the parents, how it came to be that this girl got into custody of this man and murdered, please hit the link in the chat to come up on the panel. You do not have to show yourself, but you are welcome to give your opinion. Court TV is the source. This was uploaded 7 days ago. Discovering Breasia Terrell's body, anthropologist testifies. Thank you for your time. So much to this story. And this child could have been saved had the mother found other company to keep and not let her go over there. The grandmother, she plays a part by letting her leave the house. And the girlfriend plays a part, Ms. Culberson, by not saying something to him when she realized the girl was missing. And then looking out the window and seeing the child standing by the Impala. They're all guilty in my eyes. Every single one of them.
Over kidnapping murder trial in Iowa, Henry Dinkins is accused of the 2020 murder of 10-year-old Breasia Terrell. She was last seen at his apartment for a sleepover with her half-brother, who is the defendant's biological son. A forensic anthropologist took the stand today and testified about finding Breasia's remains and the evidence collected at the scene.
As the brush started to be removed, describe what was being discovered.
So again, the remains were mainly in this main concentration in the area where they were first found, around that area where the skull was found. During the hands and knee search, we just found little elements. We found some fingernails, some hand or foot bones, slightly away from that concentration.
All right. And then were there any areas where there was a section of the body that had the drug away from the main concentration?
Yes, so the left lower limb had been drugged west of the main concentration.
Okay. As you were looking at those skeletal remains, was there anything that was particularly obvious to you?
At first glance, I could tell that they were the remains of a subadult or juvenile. When you're a child, the ends of your bones aren't actually fused on. That's what allows you to grow taller until you reach skeletal maturity. And so those ends are called epiphyses. And I could see at the scene that we had these epiphyses there.
All right. Was there any hair associated with those skeletal remains?
There was a hair mass at the scene.
Describe the hair mass.
It's somewhat outside the scope of forensic anthropology. I mean, it had shell beads in it. It was a dark brown or black color, but I'm not a hair expert.
No, and that's exactly what I needed. I just needed to have you describe the physical appearance. So then at that point, then did you start the process of collecting those bones?
So once we did our hands and knee search and removed all the debris around there, making sure that we had found all of the elements, they were again documented so that we had that third documentation there. Once DCI agreed that they had all the documentation they needed in that case, we did begin to collect those elements and place them into body bag.
When you had removed what would have been the obvious skeletal remains, is there anything else that was done just to sift through the dirt to see if you could find anything else that was associated with that body?
Yes, it's common procedure once all the elements that are on the surface there are recovered to take a trowel and scrape the soil. Sometimes over periods of time, elements can kind of sink into the soil. So I did that about a centimeter deep in that area of the remains.
As a result of that process, did you make any further discoveries?
Yes, I found a few additional teeth and then 2 artifacts that were later determined to be bullets.
Okay. Relative.
I'm going to stop right there. We have someone that might want to join us. Hello?
Hello.
Hi, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Cordova, Tennessee.
Oh, Tennessee, where I am.
Oh, yes. Hi.
Knoxville, Tennessee area.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to stop right there where she's describing what they found at the scene. What do you have to say pertaining to Henry Dinkins, his guilt or innocence, ma'am?
So, first of all, what I have to say is he took her without consent of her mother. Okay. That's number one. Okay. That's kidnapping.
Okay.
Even though her grandmother is not a custodian to the young girl. It's either her mother or her father. Her grandmother does not have legal custody of her. So without the consent of her mom, that was kidnapping, number one.
Okay.
Number two, how can you say that you're telling me that this young lady, you saw a dirty cloth and her clothes got wet. She's 10 now, so she knows how to take a shower.
Yes.
So how are you telling me that didn't seem strange to you? You never said when she went outside. You never explained, well, where did the dirty towel come from? You never explained that. Why didn't the son have a dirty towel? What is going on with that? And also, what Black woman in America does not question her man? I don't care who he is.
Yes.
If you get up,
but some don't. You know that, right?
Right. If my man get out the bed or my husband get out the bed at 3 o'clock, first of all, I'm gonna wake up. Where you going? Mm-hmm. And if you don't answer that phone, mm-hmm. and I look outside and I see a little girl standing there, first of all, I'm coming downstairs. Let me tell you something. Either you get her back up in here, I'm calling her mama. It's gonna be 2.
I agree. Yes.
2.
Yes.
Because we're not gonna have nothing going on here. What you outside with a 4? There's going to be an argument. I'm sorry.
Yes.
There's going to be an argument. So I'm with you. I feel like all 3 of them are guilty. Number one, the grandmama did not have permission to let her go. That's
right. Right.
And the number one thing is, as the mother, when I get home and you tell me my child is where, I'm coming to get her because I didn't give her permission to go. Right. So when I get there, all hell finna break loose, and I'm gonna tell Brianna, you get your butt in this car with me because you didn't ask me, could you go? Right. I didn't tell you could go. So now, you get in the car with me, and you done lost your mind, Henry, and I feel like that he is guilty.
Yes, he is.
It's so much evidence. We saw you in the store buying the bleach.
Yes.
The machete was there.
Yes.
This man is, I wonder why this man is dead, but he's dead. You waved him down, and you got stuck in the place where they saw her.
Right.
Down to her body. So how are you?
Right.
There is reasonable doubt already there.
Already, yes. That's true. And then your phone. But see, let's talk about this, sweetheart. This is where I'm getting confused. When Corbison testified that she saw his phone on the charger, remember she said I kept calling, he didn't answer. Well, then where did this other phone come from that puts him at the scene?
Let me tell you something. Let me tell you something about her.
Okay.
She's not telling the whole story.
Yeah, that's
There's
what
too much gaps in her story. Number one, when children come to your house, I don't care who you are, and you've never met them before, you're gonna be watching them. Not just because they're not your kids, but because they're children, and you like, I gotta make sure they're not tearing up nothing. That's number one, because you're talking about an almost preteen, and you're talking about an 8-year-old boy.
Yeah.
Boys get rugged. They play. So you figuring out what's going on. Then number two, you and him not having discussion, but all of a sudden he just bringing her. And you know he got more than one phone, because I guarantee you he dipping with the mama already. So
wow. Wait, slow down a minute, slow a minute, baby. Why you say that?
I say that because anytime how he said I ran into her. That's what he said, right? Okay. He said I ran into her. She said, and and the little boy wanted to go with his daddy, right? Mm-hmm. So we as Black women, let's be real. We as Black women, when we see our baby dad or our ex-husband or whatever, well, I don't mean having sex with him. I mean, they've been having conversations. They've been having conversation about this little boy. Right. And they probably had already had a conversation about him, whatever. So she already said that she had met Isha, however you said her name. She had met her once. Yeah, she met her once. Now, she'd been on for 6 years with the little boy 8 years old. So she's only met her once. You met her once. We don't know what that interaction was about. But first of all, if you've met her,
I think it was a gathering. What they said, it was like a picnic or something he had. Some type of
but you met her. So if you met her and you talk to him, you know your man got 2 phones. Why does he have 2 phones? He don't work. Nobody said he worked.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I believe it is 2 phones. What I want to ask this too, and throw this in here while you're saying was he hustling or selling drugs? Because he didn't work. They got 2 cars. I want to know whose names are on the cars. Why is it that the little boy said he was offering people $100 for the pole, and that's the same amount of money the man said he offered him to get him out the ditch? There's something.
Well, you know why he offered $100 for the phone. We know why. Because the little boy, you know why he offered $100 for the phone, right? We know why. And why he said he was going to pay the people $100 when they was fishing. Remember? We
already know that. He trying to cover his tracks. I know what he's doing with that. But what I'm saying is, who has money and don't got no job? And
you know why he ain't got no job? You know exactly why he don't have.
He ain't got no job, baby.
He's a hustler. He's a Black man. He's a hustler.
And you can't get you probably couldn't get no job too with that popping up with that 10-year prison sentence.
Yeah, he has a criminal background.
Yeah, that's
he has a big, because he ain't gonna get no good job. He has felonies, so he ain't gonna get no good job. We know that. And you can look at him and tell he one of those men that think that he's prestigious. So you ain't got nowhere to live. You living in the trailer and with her in this apartment, but you got 2 sharp cars. What that say to you?
I thought that was strange. I thought that was very strange. And she just my friend. Don't forget that.
Yeah, but that's the typical word of a street man. And I'm not talking about any man in the street or whatever, but that's the type of language that they use. That's the type of life that they live. I'm more worried about being flashy, and I'm not gonna be connected to nobody. She just my friend. She ain't my girlfriend.
Right.
So that's a typical way of a street hustler. That's what
he had gold in his mouth, and on that body camera, and they were showing the body camera. I was looking at it on another person's network, and I saw his mouth. I said, "This Negro got gold."
And he's sagging. Old as heck, and he's sagging.
God,
so we already know what type of person that you are from your criminal background. Yes. And for her, I don't care how tired I am. I ain't never too tired with something going on with my child. Yes. Never. So you're not gonna call me and say to me, "Oh, I let Bree go." First thing I'm gonna tell my mom, "I love you, but you didn't ask me could Bree go."
Yeah.
I didn't ask you could Bree go. And then I'm gonna call him. "Hey, look. You need to take her back. Did you ask me could she go? You asked about your son. You didn't ask about my daughter. I don't care."
Well, you know, they said the little boy is the one that really gave the permission for the girl to go. Yeah, you can come.
Yeah, and the grandmama she ain't saying nothing. But then what got me is the oldest boy said, "Why I can't go too?
Right.
You ain't got no room for the 14-year-old because you know you ain't got the win to hang with that boy. He wasn't finna let you mess with his sister. You know you ain't got the win to hang with him. So you gonna make sure you take that out of the picture.
Too many witnesses for what I got planned if I want to go ahead. But let's go here.
He wasn't going.
But my thing is, if he asked for the girl to come or not, because I thought I heard in testimony that he did ask for her, could she come?
Well, now
so it's like it's up in the air about if Dinkins asked for her to come.
The testimony I heard was that she asked could she go because her and the young brother were very close. Yes. But then the older brother said, I want to go too. So that let me know he was in protection mode. He wasn't just asking because he's 14. So he wasn't just asking to go. He was in protection mode. And so you're going to stop him from going, but you're going to let her go. Even if you was going to let them go, she said, well, you can't take them unless you take all three. That's the way most black grandmamas say. You got to take them all. You can't just take one. You can't just take two.
But he don't have to take them all because they're not his kids, first of all.
And he should have took Brianna. That's kidnapping. Because you didn't ask her mama permission. You and her mama discussed about the son that you...
So then we really can't say that he planned it then because he didn't know that the girl was going to want to go, right? If I'm going... And I ain't been taking my son nowhere. I can't say that girl was gonna go.
Well, this is what the thing. What's the word they say? It's when you see an opportunity, there was an opportunity.
I see.
There was an opportunity. Oh, so this is what he said. Oh yeah, you can go. It's okay. You can go.
Well, what's disturbing about that is he searched 10 days or so before that date of child pornography and girls being abused. That's messed up.
Well,
did you not know that?
Yeah, he's done this before. So he's done this before.
We know that, but I'm just saying it's just interesting that came out in the state they were trying to introduce that in court, that he searched this on his phone a week or so before this incident with the child.
But there was another victim probably that he had in play. This was an opportunity. There was another victim he probably had in play. But then if it come easy to you, you're not going to turn it down. Oh, she said she want to go?
Yeah.
Girls, come on, let's go. I already got the place. I already got everything.
Well, Purple Gold says he was plotting the whole time.
He was plotting, but I don't believe it was for Briasia.
Right. For somebody.
Yeah, he had another victim in play, and Briasia made it easy. Her mom and family made it easy.
Because a girl is a girl.
She the right age, she the right height, she whatever. He probably all the time had been liking her anyway. He might.
And that's what we're going to talk about that too, because he dealt with the mother at some point to make this boy child. She would have been around 2.5. Who's to say he didn't touch her because he touched a 5-year-old at 18? Obviously, you got the same wage. You have not changed.
But guess what he said? Remember what he said to the police officer? These my children. He said, I raised Briasia. Remember that? He said, I raised Briasia. He said, so why would I do something to my kids? Okay, so this is the thing. If Briasia and that little boy so close, he ain't finna let his sister go without him. Then the little boy said, my sister kicked me. He said that for a reason. He said she kicked me hard. Okay. So she was trying to when he pulled out the bed, she was fighting or something. Okay. So now you telling me the girlfriend ain't heard nothing. She ain't seen nothing. But this your man.
I won't be surprised if she was up. Somebody made a comment on this other lady's channel and maybe she was up, but she's never going to tell that because that shows I'm complicit. If I tell you I was woke when he went in and got that girl out the room or I saw him walk out with her, I'm complicit.
Yeah, because this is the thing. Now you telling me you watched this man as he went in the closet. Now, and we black. I'm just not all black women. I'm just saying the majority of us. We done already went through our man's stuff. He don't even know he been through it because we're going to put it back. Yeah, but she been in that closet. She already know what he had in his closet. And the thing about her is she was so specific about that Camaro, but she didn't like that Impala. Why you didn't like the Impala? What was it about the Impala that you didn't like? She know more than she's telling. She's just trying to keep herself out of...
Well, explain it to me. Well, Camaro, I like Camaros myself. So, it's more flashy a Camaro than
But why would you dislike the Impala? You might be more privy to the Camaro and say, well, yeah, the Camaro pretty, I like that. But why you have a problem with the Impala? You might say, well, I don't want to drive it or whatever, but she has her whole attitude changed when she started talking about the Impala. Whole attitude changed. So do you know that he's been messing with little girls before? And is this the car that he uses to keep it clean or whatever, to keep the evidence down? What is the reason that you have a problem?
I want to know, a lot of people are talking about the t-shirts. That's bothering a lot of people. Everybody in the t-shirts, even the woman having one on was very creepy. And then own
Everybody got the
issue
same
is
thing on.
creepy, right?
Her mama said, but wait a minute. Then you gonna tell me her mama brought her some clothes? See, this is not making sense. You said a mama came over there and brought the children's night clothes over there.
But she didn't come in the house.
She didn't come in the house, and so why Brady still end up with the t-shirt on?
Because he offered the shirt, just like he said she could go. It's the same game. Here, put this shirt on, brother.
But you as a woman, even though, she said, well, her mama already sent her some clothes.
But she's timid. She told you that in court. Remember when they asked her personality to the state, and she said, "Yeah, I'm the most distant one."
She ain't too timid because you hanging with this hustler. You hanging with this hustler.
Girl,
in your house. You've been with her for 6 years. You've been with her for 6 years. You might be telling me that, but as a woman that's been in the hood and lived in the hood and came from the hood, you might be telling me that, but you with this rough man, You're with this rough man for 6 years?
Yeah.
For 6 years, you ain't too timid. You not too timid. And you know what he doing.
Yeah.
You know what he's doing. You know how he make his money. You know who he hanging with. You probably know all the girls he messing around with you on. You know all of that. That's why he got 2 phones.
Yeah.
That's why he got 2 phones. You know this. So don't come up
What
and
was interesting when they asked her too about him coming and going in the night. Is there times that he's left and never said nothing, not returned? She said, yeah. And I thought, yeah, well.
That's what I said. If
that was good for the defense. That was good for the defense to say, well, he been doing this. So you can't prove he had nothing to do with the little girl because he come and go out of there when he won't.
But you said nature call. You said nature call. And you woke up and he ain't there. We as women, if you've been with a man that long and you love him, you know what that man breathes. If he got up out that bed, you know he got up out that bed. You know he got up out that bed. So don't come bringing me that. Come with the truth. Just say, hey, I'm scared of him, or, da-da-da-da. But you knew, and when you saw Breasia, you didn't raise up the window and say, what y'all doing down there? What you doing?
Right.
What you doing? And you mean to tell me, and then the prosecutor asked her, she said, how did you know it was Breasia mama? Did you see her? She said, no, I didn't see her. So that's what he told you? So was the clothes already sent before? Because Breasia mama said she went home and fell asleep. Ain't that what she said? When she got out of work, she went home and fell asleep. That's what her mama said. She said, I was so tired. I went home and I fell asleep. So
the mother said she went to sleep?
Yeah, that's what she testified. She said when she got off of work, she was tired and she went to sleep. So, but y'all telling us that she came over there and bought the clothes. That's what you saying.
She probably brought them over there in the evening time, late, maybe in the night.
But she never saw her. So how can we know that the woman came over there and brought the clothes? How we don't know if they was?
Man, the woman got clothes back, so she had come and got some contact at some point. At the end, maybe at the end.
Yeah, but you have to know that was her. Anybody could have came with the grandmama. We don't know. She didn't see her. That's why the prosecutor asked her. She said, "Did you see her?" She said, "No, I didn't see her. I didn't see her." So okay, you don't know. So you should have said.
So what are you trying to say? That they did have something?
I'm saying that what she should have said was, he brought her clothes back in the house. He brought some more clothes back in the house. So now it says, well, where did he get these clothes from? Because I don't know. Just because he told me she gave her the clothes, I don't know that. But if I see she got some more clothes and you tell her to put on the t-shirt, I'm going to say, well, her mama, you say her mama already bought her some more clothes that go right there. Why she just can't put them on? If her clothes are wet, I know she's 10 years old. I'm going to say, Brianna, how your clothes get wet in the, I know you didn't wear your clothes in the shower.
Oh, you know what saying?
I'm saying that she know he took her somewhere and molested the girl and brought her back. That's what I'm saying.
Well, my understanding in the court, they asked her about the clothes being wet. She said, "Is it possible that they got wet, throwing them in the floor in the shower because they got wet with the shower?" And that's when she said, "Yeah, that's possible."
And that's what I said. You know that little girl. She's 10. We're not talking about a 5-year-old, 6-year-old, 7. We're talking about a 10-year-old little girl that play basketball and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Now you know she ain't got her clothes wet in the shower.
No, not in the shower, in the floor, and the water hit the outside the curtain.
No. What 10-year-old girl is going to put her clothes close to the shower and get wet? She said she had a shower curtain. That's what she said.
I hear everything that you're saying.
That's what she's saying. So, and then how her feet get dirty? Where did her feet get dirty at? Where did she get dirty? Where did her feet get dirty? Where?
I wouldn't understand that anyway. Bringing the washcloth back, that wouldn't make no sense because why am I going to bring anything back? From hearing them with girls. If I throw you in the water, I'm done with you. I ain't gotta wipe your feet off because I'm disposing you.
So that's why I'm like, I believe he took her away and brought her back. She not telling the whole story. She leaving clips out. She know he took her away.
Well, then explain the watch call, because I'm confused.
Because if he took her to wherever he took her, the woods or wherever, and he did whatever he did to her, and he brought her back and she cleaned up and everything, that displays that the
how could she have cleaned up? Remember, she never came back inside the apartment.
That's what she told you.
I was saying, that's what you're saying.
But not you, but that's what she told the court.
Yeah, that's what you're saying.
Where did the son, his wife's car, his feet should have been dirty too. She never said they went outside. She said that they stayed in the house the whole time and played games. She said the little boy played the cops and robber, whatever game.
Well, could it be possible that the little girl had already dirty feet when she got to the apartment?
It could be. That could be possible.
We don't really know if she was really hygienic. Just because she was 10. I mean, she was hygienic. She could already had dirty feet from where she was, warm weather. She could have been wearing flip-flops, walking around barefoot at her own house. And then when she got to his house, her feet were dirty when she took the shower.
That might be, but them clothes didn't get wet by no 10-year-old, and she didn't put them by the toilet or what. If when she's in the shower, she's gonna pull this shower. Because we're talking about a 10-year-old. We have to think about. I'm a nurse.
You gotta remember, she didn't wear anything. She didn't wear no clothes out to the thing. She wore the t-shirt. That's what was found at the scene: the t-shirt, the bra, and the shorts.
We have to think about where a child is at a certain age. I'm a nurse. That's how you assess a child. You have to know what stage they are in, so you'll know what activities that they do. Yeah, a 10-year-old does not do that. At this age, she's concerned about appearance. At this age, she knows not to put things next to something that will make you wet. At this age, at his age, he's 8. He thinks concrete. So if you tell him, this glass fell off the table, he gonna picture the glass falling off the table. If you tell her the glass fell off the table, she will say, well, how did it fall off the table? Different thinking processes, because she's 10, she's not 8. So that's why the prosecutor asked her, do you have a shower curtain in your shower? That was the reason for that question.
Yeah, well, she's very meticulous. I want to give the state a round of applause, because she was meticulous in everything she did. So because she knew there wasn't a lot of evidence that was physical, such as semen, things like that. So she knew she had to be meticulous from how the apartment was laid out, where the kitchen was, if there was a shower curtain, where was the bathroom in relation to the bedroom. She knew what she was doing to show cause. This place is too small for somebody not to be recognizing and seeing something.
But the reason why she was on the shower is because of what I just told you. Because you got to think, what age is this child? Where is their thinking process?
Okay.
She is too old to do something like
that. Then that's what. But see, now when you keep saying that, people still want to know where you're taking it. Then how did the clothes get wet? Because she didn't take the clothes. She didn't wear the clothes out to the place. You understand what I'm saying?
But that is what
out of the house. I mean,
that's what she is telling you. But I'm telling you, he took that little girl and brought her back. She's not telling the whole story. He took her and he brought her back.
Okay, but what I'm saying is, sweetheart, was she wearing the clothes? Is that what you're trying to say?
She was wearing the clothes when he took her and brought her back. Yes, she was. She's not telling the truth.
Okay, so then he changed her to the t-shirt. That don't make no sense, though.
It does make sense, because the way she telling you the story is not what happened. Think about how she telling you the story. Oh, so she woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. At 3 o'clock, she said she didn't have a glass on. She had to use the bathroom, right? She said she said she didn't see Briasia in the bed, but she couldn't be sure because her vision is blurry. So she put her glasses on. She even touched the bed, and she said that she wasn't there, but the little boy was there. That's what she said, right? She said she looked everywhere. So the prosecutor asked, did you look up under the bed? She said she looked everywhere. The prosecutor said, did you look up on the bed? She said, no. She said, did you look in the closet? She said, no. But you said you looked everywhere. She said she looked in the living room and the kitchen. They joined together. You didn't look under the bed. You didn't look in the closet. You didn't look, but you said you looked everywhere. Okay, so you did. So you looked out the window and you saw Briasia standing there. Briasia was standing there in what? She said she was wearing the white t-shirt and stuff when she was standing there. Okay. So she was standing there. She said she had her head down. She said, I couldn't see her face from the angle that I was standing. That's what she said. That's what she testified to. Okay, so you mean to tell me that this was not unusual to you to see that? It's not unusual to you because you knew he had took her and brought her back. That's why it's not unusual to you. That is why that's not unusual. You're leaving a whole section of time out. A whole section of time out. You said Brianna went to bed first. That's what she said, right? She said they took a shower separately. That's what she said, right? The little boy took the shower and the little girl. She said Brianna went to bed first. She said then she went to bed, but she heard him tell the little boy, you got to get off that game by 12 o'clock and go to sleep. That's what she said. But you said you went to bed next after Brianna. How did you hear all of that? Then the little boy said that he saw his daddy take her down the steps. And then the defense said, but you didn't say that earlier. He said, no, I didn't. He said, but I saw him take my sister down the steps. So he had already took her and brought her back. He was bringing her back when he came back that second time. He was bringing her back. And she knew he had took that little girl. She knew that. She knew that. Okay. She knew that. She just leaving it out. She's not telling everything. And he ain't gonna testify. He didn't testify. He ain't gonna say nothing. The little boy, he's trying to tell it, but like he said, I get angry. He said, you're making me angry. We was on the stage. He said, you're making me angry.
And he's gonna have problems if they don't get him some help. He's gonna be a very angry person, and what'll be sad is you have a repeat of a part 2 Henry Dinkins.
And he told them, he said, I saw him take my sister down the steps. You remember that in his testimony? He said,
I didn't pay attention to every testimony because I really didn't want to get deep into this conversation. What I would do is post updates on my community page pertaining to the trial.
But go back and look and listen to his testimony. He said, I saw him take my daddy down the steps. And she said, he said, but you didn't say it.
Yeah, I think I had heard that part. Yeah, because I remember him being angry during some of the testimony.
He said, you're making me angry. He said, I get angry when I think about what my daddy did to my sister. He said, it makes me angry. You're making me angry. So if he saw her take her down the steps, that means she had left. So he was bringing her back. She knew he had took her. He was bringing her back. He was bringing her back.
See, I don't understand. I don't even understand none of that. See, none of that makes sense to me. All this back and forth. That's not usually how sadists and stuff get down. They don't, all that back and forth. If you know that it's a propensity that she was going to tell, even when you thought about touching her, you would have took her wherever you took her, did what you did to her, and you would have killed her right there. There's no back and forth bringing her back. I don't know.
Yes, it is. Because I'm gonna tell you, yes, it is. Because if I know that you're not gonna say nothing, because me and you involved in what I'm doing, and you're not gonna say nothing, and I forgot something, I had to do something, I'm gonna bring her back. Because this is the thing. I already got planned what I'm gonna do. He still didn't plan it out well, because if he
that's what I'm saying, because I don't know killers who do all that ripping and running back and forth.
He didn't plan it out well, because if he did, we'd already had the bleach. He would already.
That's what I'm saying. I would have. If I knew I wanted to take her out with me, I would have got the gun first.
Mm-hmm.
I got the gun first, then got her out of the bed, took her to the location, assaulted her, killed her there, and kept it moving. All that this back and forth.
What a killer would have did, he would have stepped right there from the beginning. He would have said, "Oh, Greg, I forgot to get so and so. Sent the son upstairs, went on and took and killed her, did everything."
Yeah, that was too risky bringing her back. Only a fool would have done that. He was a fool because there was no reason to bring her back.
Because he didn't plan it well. Thank God he didn't plan it well, because we might have never would have found her. We might have never would have found out what was wrong. But I agree with you.
Well, we would have found out because you got to remember he had the 2 phones.
No, I'm just saying.
The one other 2 phones, unless she's lying about that phone.
But what if he had planned it so well? Is what I'm saying. If he had,
but he didn't. But he didn't.
And I'm glad he didn't. But like you said, all of this child was not protected, and you said it very well. No. Nobody protected her. Nobody protected her. Her grandmama didn't protect her. Her mom didn't protect her, and the lady, Andrea, however you say her name, she didn't protect her.
Yeah. The attitude was sad to me. Because when you got the body camera and the cop is trying to talk to these 2 parents, calm them down, tell them, hey, I'm just here to help you. Why are you all walking off? That showed me y'all didn't give a fuck about her, because I'm not going to leave that property when I know that's the last place my child was.
But
what am I going to walk off from? I don't care if I'm not getting along with Henry at the moment. I'm going to walk that property, knock on door to door, and ask you, have you seen this little girl?
And that's what the officer told. He said, where are you going? He was like, I'm here to help you. I'm trying to find your daughter. He was more concerned than both of them was.
They messed that up right there.
And then he was going to go knock on the door like he don't live there. Knock on the door and walk away.
Yeah, because even the cop was shocked, looking at him like, what you knocking for?
And what you walking away for?
Oof.
But I just want
to so ghetto.
But I think that the prosecution, I think that they delivered.
She did a well job. She did
a well good job.
She's very meticulous. She's very meticulous.
She's very thorough, and I'm hoping and praying that the judge will look at the facts and look at the law, and I come back with a guilty.
And see, he also has the fortitude to look at your past. They say during the jury trials, a lot of information cannot be brought in of your past, but with a judge, he has the right to review anything you've ever done before.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's where they messed up. Jury trial, you can't just bring in something that I did 5 years ago.
Okay.
With a judge, you can. You know, just like any other court, when you go, you do something, jaywalking or speeding, all what you did before. If you sped before, you got 16 tickets, all that can be introduced. He can pull up your record and see, oh, you've been speeding 12 times in 2 years. See what I'm saying?
So does that go towards his character? Is that why?
Yes, of course. You've been to prison for molesting a 5-year-old.
Yes, he has. And
so the judge has access to that. The jury wouldn't.
Did the girl's mama not know that the man had?
I got an interview on my community page. I can play it while I'm here. She mentions it and she glazes right on over. Yes, and that surface that, you know, about the past, and he was acting weird, and I was worried about him being in prison so long. So if you knew he'd been to prison, then you had to know what he went to prison for. What she don't tell you in that interview is when she found out that he had the past. She glazes right over it.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
She should be charged too. I mean, well,
yeah.
I just, my thing is.
But she's never going to tell you when she found out he had the past. But we're going to use deduction. You knew before July 10, 2020. So therefore, you are complicit to sending your child to a child molester's domain.
Yeah, and then you let this man be with you and your child, and
then you go right, and then you go back in time. You messed around with him while you had a 2.5-year-old Briasia then, so he's had access to the girl even then. Who's to say he wasn't molesting her?
That's what I'm saying. Who's to say that he wasn't molesting her?
Exactly.
Yeah, but I just, you know, I think that you're covering it very well, and I think that you're being objective. And that's kind of what we need when I'm looking at these shows where they're talking about trials. I'm looking to see when the person is talking, are you being objective? Are you looking at both sides? And I want to say that you look at both sides, you're being objective.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna weigh it out, but I'm also gonna try to use some common sense in the midst of it. In the midst of it, what makes sense? And I've always learned that when there's wrongdoing, it ain't gonna make no sense because it's not supposed to.
It's not. But once a child molester, always a child.
Well, and that's what they say.
And this is the thing. Okay, so why are they not charging him with? So if he was convicted of molesting a 5-year-old, he won't supposed to be around no children anyway. So how that work?
It's up to somebody to run their mouth and say, hey, I saw him at the playground. Hey, I saw him at the schoolyard. Hey, I saw him at the soccer game. No, it ain't for me to come and tell you I've been around a child, because I'm a fool if I go back and tell the people, I've been hanging around with children.
I'm talking about the court. Shouldn't he have an additional charge?
Well, if he's done his time and flattened his time, he can roam the earth as he sees fit. He's only supposed to register. That's what he's supposed to do by law.
But if he doesn't register by law, then he's supposed to go back to jail.
Right, but if I don't know he's been over here, over there, I ain't checked the registry regular, that's on the law.
That's true. That's what I was trying to get to. But can't they still bring it up in this case that he wasn't?
That's how he got arrested. That's how he got in prison. He didn't get in prison because of the little girl.
Okay.
Yeah, he didn't go to jail because of Briasia. He went to jail because they realized he was a sex offender and had not gave the new address.
Okay, because I remember them saying that he didn't get arrested.
Yeah, he got arrested like days after they filed the missing report on the little girl. Maybe 2 or 3 days later, they said he got arrested for not registering.
Yeah, that's because I knew they were saying he didn't go to jail for Briasia. He went to jail for something.
Yeah, so just imagine had he had registered, he's still been free up until right now.
He sure would, but he didn't register. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So what I'd like to know is, when they talk about the trailer, are they talking about a separate trailer, or are they talking about that RV that was on the lot? Because that's, to me, 2 different things. Was he actually, because remember he wouldn't give the address of the trailer? So I'm trying to understand, is that the RV, or we're talking about a whole different trailer?
Well, now they said they went to the trailer, but I don't know if these are 2 and 1 in the same. Because remember,
he said I don't have the address.
I don't know the address. I just tell you where it
is.
Which
the cop was like, "What do you mean you don't know where you stay?"
He didn't know his phone number. So I don't call myself. I was like, "Wow, okay, you don't know your phone number."
Yeah, I can see you not knowing somebody else's number, but not your.
But that's your own number.
You should know your own number.
No, I don't call myself. And then
that's why he didn't want them opening that phone in the police station.
Yeah,
he
but you saw him
that phone.
You just opened the phone.
Or one of the phones.
But wait a minute, when he walked through the door, he opened the phone. He used the code to open the phone to call the man and said, "I'm here at the police station." Remember?
Right.
But now when he asks you to open the phone again, you tell me, "I can't remember what the code is." I said,
right. Right.
You just opened it 30 minutes ago when you was calling the man and telling him you was there. But now you don't know the code.
Girl, you a bitch.
Because I'm just gonna tell you, I'm not like other people. I'm just gonna tell you, I was raised in the hood. You know, thank God that my mama pushed me to get my education, whatever. Yeah. But you don't lose what you've seen around you. Yeah. You don't lose what you've seen around you.
No matter what you do in life.
No matter what you do in life, because it's gonna help you some way, somewhere down the line.
Exactly.
But I can't believe that a grandmother would make the decision to let a girl child go with someone that's not her father.
Because they live that life. Let me tell you what somebody said on this woman's channel. Her name is Donna. She has a YouTube channel. And honey, she was putting it down last night when I was watching some of her content. She was like, somebody in the comment section said, I bet you he was giving the grandmama money for beer and cigarettes. Girl, I thought I was going to scream.
He probably was.
Because when you have that type of attitude, that's what people portray you as. That person that just sit out all day, smoking, drinking, don't care about nothing. The sky falling, I don't care. Let it hit me in the head. You can tell that's the type of black woman she is. Yeah, the grandma. She don't care about anything.
Yeah, she probably was like, well, he been around her before and ain't nobody said nothing. Da, 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 da. But as a grandmother, you should have something in your heart to say, wait a minute, but my daughter ain't around now. Y'all ain't together no more. So
it wasn't supposed to be no conversation. When I said no, you can't go. That's the end of the conversation. Why everybody
just get your son and
bye.
Go on there, sit down. You know, I have to have a conversation with you now. Go sit down because I didn't say it no.
But I let you know they let them do what they want because a child is not getting ready to tell me, yeah, my sister can come. I said no, little boy. Either you going with your daddy or you stay in your little butt here.
That's right. I wish mine would tell me, but it's it's
because that's what they've been doing. The kids are running the parents. That's obvious.
But
children are running her.
I really believe that 14-year-old knew something wasn't right. I really believe he did. I really believe he did because why would he want to go with a 10 and an 8?
But he's a kid too. You still got to remember he's a kid. Why would I want to be left behind if they're going somewhere?
But he's 14 though.
Every child different, sweetheart. You can't just think he's grown because he's 13. He could have been still a kid. I want to go too. And you see that with children. They know they're going somewhere. They may have been cooped up in that house. So you don't really know the dynamics of the family.
That's true.
I want to go somewhere.
That's true. That's true.
Mama's at work all day. I don't want to sit here by myself and they leaving.
That's true.
I want to go.
That's true. That's just a gut feeling I got because I know he told him no for a reason. He knew something in him knew I can't bring him because if I bring him, I ain't gonna be able to get.
Well, it's too many eyes for one. If you bring another party that is now 3 eyes to watch me get with this kid.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't think about the neighbors. That's why I said the mother should have been knocking on the door, asking neighbors, because who's to say if one of the neighbors could have said, yeah, I saw the little girl standing outside by the Impala. You ain't gonna know because she ain't never knock on nobody's damn door.
No. And me, I went in there and talked to Andrea. Hold up, baby. Andrea, you ain't seen my daughter?
Yeah, I find that strange too. And let me tell you, in that interview that I got, she mentions that. This is 4 months after the girl gone missing. She says, I'm still trying to get a sit down with him and Andrea. Are you kidding me? 4 months later?
I would have been
4 months later.
When I came to pick when I came to get my child, I found out that she was missing. Before I knock on anybody though, I'm coming to Andrea.
Oh yeah, I'm coming to where my child was exactly. Let me come up in here.
Andrea, where my baby? What happened?
I'm coming in too. Look, I'm gonna come in there.
That's what I said. I'm coming to the door. Where my baby? What happened? DL, get your mess. What's up? What happened up in this house with my child? And I'm coming. I'm coming with the police. I'm not gonna get there.
That's why I showed you the mother don't have no gumption about her children. You easily ran from the scene Just because Henry ain't giving you what you want, you don't leave the scene. That's where your child was last seen. You should have walked that whole property front to back. You should have knocked on doors. Who the fuck just leaves because of the fucking baby daddy ain't giving you the answers you want?
I don't know, because first of all, he probably, I would have been all up in his face. You better find my child. You didn't lost your mind. I don't know who you think I am, but you better find my daughter.
And then somebody was reading into it like she knew that something wasn't right. I don't know. That's somebody else's perception. They said when she said she's just 10 years old.
Okay, but
then she was yelling at him.
She was in your custody. Number one, and number two is when it come to my child, I ain't scared of nobody. I ain't scared of nobody when it come to mine. Mm-hmm. Not mine. Yeah. So we finna beat this street, but I'm coming with the police. I'm coming with the police.
Girl, you about to beat this street. Look, because I sure would have been crossed. Let me tell you, they would have to call the police to get me off that property because I've been acting you know what?
Fool, and I'm talking loud and not gonna people know.
Oh, I'm waking up everybody.
I'm having my cell phone. You see this little girl right here with this big old black ape looking man right here? Do you see my baby?
I tell you something else strange. She's talking to the cop. It's dark 30. She about to cry and break down trying to make flyers. You had all day to get Xerox pictures of your children. You could have went to the library. You could have went to the schoolhouse and say, hey, this is an emergency. Can you Xerox some copies of my child because she's missing? I believe somebody in that business office would have been glad to Xerox some copies of the little girl picture if he ain't had no money for no copies.
Make no copies. In her job. Come on, please now.
She waited till nighttime to tell the police officer, where do I go to get more copies? And her like, okay, well, they mentioned some of the stores she could go to. It's dark 30 and you crying about not having enough copies. You had all day to make copies.
The officer said, man, we trying to find your child. We looking for your child. You need to help us look. But the thing is,
they were telling us the story. See, that's what I tell people why you have to listen. They were telling you the story of what the children's lives were about.
She won't care. Sometimes women just gotta have a man.
Because if you free to let the child roam with this man, knowing that neither one of them been going to his house or girlfriend's house, you would have done the same if Pookie Ray Ray came over and said, hey, can I pick up your son? And he come over here, and then the little girl said, oh, I want to go. Your kid could have been in the same situation with somebody else. But that's how I look at it. I won't doubt this has happened before with some other random ass folks.
Oh, it happened in Memphis, girl. You didn't hear about it on the news? About the little girl they found in the garbage can. Her mama said, this is a 3-year-old now. She said, I woke up and she was gone. And then somebody said they saw the little girl walking down the street. So I said, if you saw a 3-year-old walking down the street and ain't nobody with them, you ain't gonna say, come here, baby, you ain't gonna call the police? You gonna go back in your house and go to sleep?
Yeah.
I said, okay, that don't sound right.
Yeah.
Then the auntie said they had kept knocking on the door. The police came and she was like, I'm concerned because she got a heart problem. He said, but you just called us 3 days later about your child missing. Yeah, she walked out. And so somebody said, did you check the house? And the police said, we don't have a warrant. So they called DHS. So DHS came. She got scared.
They didn't have a warrant for this case. And he asked the girl, can I come in? And then she said, did you ask Henry? And he made his way in there.
The little girl got scared. But the woman told her he could come in. Remember, he asked, can I come in? She said, yeah. This girl wouldn't let them in. Because the baby was still in the house. So when they called DHS, she got scared, put the baby in the garbage can and put the baby in the garbage bag and put it in the garbage can. Somebody saw her.
Oh, my God.
And she had the dead baby in the house all the time and lied that something had happened to the little girl. Yes. So that lets you know how some people are as a family unit.
Yeah.
Because when I wake up at night, if I go to the bathroom, I just wake up at night and go look at my child and see what she's doing in there. She dead. She might be snoring, but I'm going in there check her.
Wow. And how old is she?
My baby's 4.
Oh, she's 4. Yeah, it's a baby.
So I go and check on her. She be snoring loud as they come, baby. But I go check on her because I want to see she out the cover. Did she roll off on the bed? You know, whatever. I can't sleep good because I'm going to check on my child at least 2 times at night.
Okay.
But you said your child just walked out the door. She just walked out the door. And then somebody saw her walking down the street. They didn't say nothing. You didn't call the police. A 3-year-old.
Oh, yeah. Somebody going to say something with a 4-year-old walking in the dark. We believe that.
But the lady said she went back in the house and went to sleep. So the DHS lady said, well, why you didn't call the police? She said, I don't get in nobody's business. Oh, okay.
See, and that's what's wrong with the world too. We're gonna talk about that. We live in a society where everybody or some they don't want to be known as a snitch, don't want to have to testify later, because that's when it's a serious crime such as this, they will call you to testify. That's just a given. They're gonna ask. And a lot of people don't want the scrutiny of being known that they told information about something or is somebody's friend or relative. But what I always say is it's okay for you not to testify, but if some shit jump off with your family, you want everybody to tell.
Yeah, you do.
How's it different?
You do. But it's the thing is, we are supposed to be together. You should want for yourself what you want. You should want for somebody else what you want for yourself.
Treat people the way you want to be treated.
Exactly. If somebody hurt me, I want you to call the police and help me. If somebody hurt me, because if somebody hurt you, I'm going to call the police and help you.
Yeah.
Regardless if I got to testify or not. Because when I get on me, you don't want me to testify. Because I'm going to tell you on the stand when I get up there. I'm gonna tell it. If you try to kill me, they're gonna already know that I testified. So you going back to jail anyway. That's your dumb decision. So I ain't worried about that. But I'm gonna tell it on you. So you best not to do it in front of me, because I'm gonna tell it.
Wow.
I'm gonna tell it. I'm just telling you, everybody in the world can hear your broadcast. I'm gonna tell it. So you might not want to do nothing in front of Amatulaha, because I'm gonna tell it. I'm going to tell it. I'm not going to let you hurt a child. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah. And I always tell people that if you're the type that you think snitching is wrong when it comes to a child, you need to check yourself, because that's some serious ass problem.
Snitching is, I'm involved too. That's snitching. That's snitching. If I see you hurting a child or something.
Yeah, there's no snitching when it comes to children. That's the whole point.
Right. Ain't no snitching, baby. Ain't no snitching, because this child cannot protect themselves. This child does not know right from wrong. Exactly. So you're taking advantage of somebody. You can't snitch on little babies and old people. I'm not a snitch when it comes to that. So if you don't want nobody hurting your child, don't let me see you hurting nobody else. And please don't try to hurt mine. It's gonna be terrible. But the thing is, we have to understand as a people, we got to take care of each other. This world is already against us. We got to take care of each other. And nobody took care of Breasia. Nobody took care of their 10-year-old.
Yeah, because it was a free fall. It's obvious they've done this before. I just said, I'm sure other people have came over asking for either child to go somewhere. They ain't know these people from a can of paint, and they let their children go. We going to the park, we going to the movies, we doing this. They don't know nothing about them. Yes, here a few dollars, gone by.
Because I don't let two things I don't do. I don't let other people's children spend the night over my house, and you got to be with your child when you bring your child over to my house. And my child don't spend the night over nobody's house.
Okay.
Period. And if she going with you, if you going to the park, mama going too. I'm sorry. I'm going too. Because I don't know. All I know is what you tell me and what I didn't see. I don't know you, and I don't know who you're around, and I don't know who you're going to have around.
That's what people need to understand about letting children go to people's homes. You don't know the person. You don't know who also lives at the house, and this is how she jumps in the night. This is how children end up getting assaulted, because you don't know the other people who are coming and going out of the house. So if you got the other men, boys coming in and out, anything can happen to a baby or a girl child or a boy child. That's just common sense.
Yeah. So I don't do that. And when people say, well, why? I said, I don't keep other people's children because I don't want no lies said on me or nothing like that.
Bump their head. Where you want watching them? Blah blah blah. Here's a new problem.
So you got to come with your child. If I'm going somewhere, if me and you going somewhere, you say, well, I want to take the children to the convo. Okay, we all going together. But no, I'm not taking your children with me. You're gonna have to be there, or you're gonna have to send somebody you trust to come with your children. That's just me. But so many people are doing so much to these little children today. Yeah. I just don't trust it. I don't trust it.
I understand that.
I don't trust it. But I want to commend you again for doing the excellent job that you're doing.
Thank you so
much. I would ask you to please, because people like me, I really need to hear it from this point of view. Okay. Because it makes me think, and it makes me feel a little safer to know it's somebody out there like you that's going to think outside the box that might be able to help somebody else do something else. So
I try to do the children's stories. Like I said, I just did one the other day about the 4-year-old. That was yesterday, but because that's close to me. That's the only reason why I did that story. I'm at odds at that story about a 4-year-old being shot in the chest. That's some BS too.
Yes.
But it's right here in Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's the parents didn't have custody of the child, and they gave it to this little girl, and they all went to court. And this is her best friend who killed her child. She's supposed to only have been staying there 2 more months, the little girl, and I think the brother. So it's a real bad situation.
What's
and
wrong
have
with
the
these
funeral
people?
on the 5th of September.
What is wrong with these people?
Yeah.
Why?
She didn't like the kid. That's all it was. They were probably rambunctious, getting into stuff. They'd already reprimanded them for eating food and didn't wake them up. So then she said, I know what she said. I'm going to teach you a little lesson. Come here, little girl. She pulled a gun out and then shot her in the chest, point blank. That's the end of the story.
She got some mental illness going on with her.
Well, look at her picture. Look at her picture. Just look at the mug shot. You don't need to ask no more questions.
Yeah, it's just like the man that hit the little boy in the chest for peeing on himself.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about that story?
How long ago was it?
It's been about a year ago. The little boy, the mama left and went to work. He was the boyfriend keeping the little boy. And the little boy, he was almost 3. He was 3, but he wasn't fully potty trained. So the little boy peed on himself. He hit the little boy in the chest, stopped the little boy hard from beating. The little boy died.
Well, you're a man. A man's forced.
Exactly, but why would you discipline a child like that? Why would you hit him in his chest?
Because people are angry out here. That's the whole point of why I make these videos. If you see that you cannot rear children, then don't. Because naturally, you're not going to know till you do it. But if you know you got a temper problem, this and that, you don't need to be dating people with children. You don't need to be procreating. You don't need to be giving birth. It's all the same.
Yeah, because
Tyler's
going to get on your nerve because I have had to tell my daughter sometimes, if I go on in your playroom, baby, play for about 5-10 minutes, Mama be in there. And she'll say, why? And I said, because you need to go and play, because she might keep doing something. I ask her not to do it.
Yeah, of course.
And I have to sit down and think about how do you explain to her not to do this without you being, talking loud or yelling at her,
Right.
So I have to sit down and get my thoughts together. So I just sent her to a safe place where I got a little camera.
Well, because everybody needs that downtime. And that's why the doctor always said, it is normal for your baby to cry. It is normal for a toddler to cry because he or she can't talk. So long as they're clean and they're fed, he said, let them holler, a baby.
Yeah, he said they can holler for 10 minutes.
Let them holler till they won't. They'll stop.
They'll stop or after 10 minutes, then you calm yourself down and then you go see about them. But a lot of people need parenting classes and a lot of people need to understand, like you said, if you ain't ready for no baby, then you need to do what you need to do.
I don't recommend it. That's all you have to do. The birth control is free from the health department. So there's no reason for nobody to be walking around here without condoms and birth control. They have many methods for birth control. So if you get knocked up, that's your choice.
That's your choice. That's your choice. But if you know you can't handle it, give it to somebody. Give your child to somebody that wants a child, that's been yearning for a child, because these children didn't ask us to come here. And I tell my friends that all the time, I said, my daughter didn't tap me on the shoulder and say, can you have me? No, I made a decision to get married, have a child. So it's me. I am responsible for her, to protect her, to love her, and to guide her. Okay. And that's what I'm here to do. And I'm going to do my best. I don't get it right all the time. I'm a new mother. I had a baby at 46. I'm 50. So she get on my nerve.
Gosh, wow.
She get on my nerve. I'm 50.
Oh, yeah, because you done lived a long time single, unobligated. That would be very hard.
Had at 46, so I'm just sitting there, why is she doing that?
Coming and going by yourself, waking up when you want, going when you want. That would be very hard for somebody, because you're talking about 30-something years of doing what you want. I think anybody should understand what that would be like.
Yeah,
unobligated.
I kind of glad that I had her at an old age, because then I think back and said, she doing that because she don't know. She don't know that's not safe.
She don't. Exactly.
Yeah,
and that's how you have to think. It's like a child. She don't know.
I said, baby. She said, well, mommy, why? Why can't I do it? I said, because my job is to protect you, and I don't want you to hurt yourself. Now, one time, she kept doing what I said she would do before I could catch her. She was standing by her dad, and she was jumping up on the thing. I said, please sit down. Please sit down. I'm not going to ask you to sit down no more. But as soon as I said that, she slipped up and she slipped and she bit her tongue, and it scared the food out of her.
I bet it did.
She came over there running to me. I said, now you see, when mama tell you not to do something, it's so you don't get hurt like this. And me being a nurse, honey, I didn't pushed everything off the table, put on the table, looking all up in the mouth, just to see what's going on. Because I'm a nurse. I don't care who looking. I'm finna take care of this situation. but she had just bit her tongue. That was all.
Yeah.
And so she was like, yeah, mommy, you told me to stop. I said, I told you to stop. I said, so this is the reason why I say to you, stop, because mommy don't want you to get hurt.
Right.
And she keep remembering every time I tell her now, don't do that, baby. She said, so I don't bite my tongue. I know she don't understand.
Right.
But she got the concept of, I'm not just saying it to be mean or so you won't have to do it. She's getting the concept of, I remember mama told me to stop and then I hurt myself. She can't put it together telling me that. But she'll always say, so I don't hurt my tongue. I said, yeah, so you'll hurt your tongue.
Right.
But it's, we just have to know as parents, and even, if you have a friend and you don't have any children, it's okay to tell that friend, you look like you need a break. Mm-hmm. Go sit over there and I'll just watch the baby while you take a little break. We have to be friends one to another sometimes. And I'm not gonna hold you any longer, but I want to thank you. I really want to thank you.
Well, by any time.
I will, but I want to thank you, and please continue to do what you're doing, because it's people out here like me. We want to hear what you have to say. And we thank you.
I get a little rough around the edges sometimes, but it's all in good, Jess. But please check out my content yesterday pertaining to the 4-year-old, because this is a very disturbing story. Because anybody would think to kill a 4-year-old point blank. There's no excuse for this. And this woman trusted this woman to take care of her children while she and a man got on their feet, which I don't understand that either, but that's a whole nother subject.
Oh my goodness.
Check it out. Just check out the content, listen to the audio, and you'll hear the parents speak. They were trying to get on their feet, which I don't understand how you got a man and you're in your dire situation. Because a man out here, we already know, makes more money in certain jobs. So I'm trying to understand what the hell was going on that they needed to place the custody of that child with this lady who ended up killing the baby.
Oh my goodness. I'm going to have to look at that. I will look at that.
Just pull up Rockwood, Tennessee. Her name is Runyons, the suspect who's been arrested. She's waived a bond hearing.
Okay.
Her name is Runyons. Last name Runyons.
Okay, I will. I'll look
at that. Thank you so much for joining me.
Okay, have a good day.
Thank you. Okay. All right, you're welcome, honey. All right, everybody. That was our guest from Tennessee. I'm going to finish playing this content pertaining to the anthropologist of the discovery of Breasia, and then I'm going to check out of here. Thank you all so much for joining me.
Relative to the hair, did you examine the hair up close to see if there were any artifacts in the hair out there at the scene other than the shells that were very obvious?
I did not.
All right. But at any rate, was that mass of hair then collected and placed in the body bag?
Yes, typically we try to collect everything, disturbing as little as possible, so that the forensic pathologist then has whatever the remains were associated with in context.
Okay. Was there any clothing associated with those skeletal remains?
There was some clothing.
And do you recall what those articles of clothing were that was associated with the remains?
I think I recall an undergarment that was in the area. I heard of maybe other clothing in other parts, but I wasn't involved in that.
Okay. And then was there clothing attached to the skeletal remains when you came across it, or right there in the central concentration?
So I recall, like I said, some kind of undergarment that was mixed into the remains, and there was a sandal or a shoe that was nearby.
When you were making an age determination, what age did you identify for these remains?
If these remains were female, it was between 9 and 12 years of age.
9 and 12 years of age. And then in your examination of the skeletal remains, did you note any trauma?
I did.
Describe the trauma that you noted.
There was a semicircular defect to the inferior portion of the left mandible, which was consistent with a bullet impact traveling left to right through that mandible portion.
Based on the point of entry through that mandible, were you able to determine a trajectory or a path of travel for that bullet and where it would have stopped?
Yes. So based on the outside, the semicircular defect there, the inside of the mandible bone had internal beveling. So the defect is larger. That indicates that's where the bullet was exiting that bone. So I could tell the entrance versus exit through that one portion of the mandible, suggesting left to right. And then I also had a defect, kind of a circular crushing defect between the 3rd and 4th vertebrae in the neck, the cervical vertebrae, that would be consistent with a bullet impact. And in this case, I was able to anatomically align them and show that they could be from the same trajectory, from the same bullet.
All right, brief intermission. So this is an anthropologist explaining her findings of Breaja's remains out at the pond. Court TV is the source.
Trajectory from the same bullet.
All right, still with me, criminal defense attorneys Josh Tellini and Brian Gaither. And Brian, I'll start with you. Earl Dinkins was in the very beginning of jury selection when they decided to go with a bench trial. And normally when you go with a bench trial, you may decide to go in that direction because you want to argue a fine point of law that you think a judge might understand better, or it reminds me why they might have chosen in this case, because I don't think that other one exists. It's that, you're hearing about a child being killed with a gunshot wound. You hear about the little hair that she was able to identify. You see the beautiful pictures of this little girl. The only chance this guy may have is to keep emotion out of it. And, if you had a jury, that would be a big problem for him.
Well, I think I agree with you completely, because it paints a horrific picture to a jury. But you have to realize the judges are human too. So I think
exactly.
That's, you can't just throw out the whole jury trial thinking the judge will give you a better outcome.
Exactly.
Trying to take out emotion because that judge is a human, and now it's the judge. It's just him or her, rather than 6 or 12. So yes, I do agree that this was a strategic way to potentially not put this in front of a jury that potentially not like these facts just off of hearing it. But judges are just as human as the jury, and now you only have one shot.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Judge, I want to get your thoughts on this as well, because, it's right. The judge is just as human. But if you're arguing to 6 or 12, that increases your chances of catching one. Because one thing in the favor, I'm not saying this is a big thing, but one thing in favor of the defense is that there really is a lack of physical evidence connecting the defendant to this crime and to the crime scene. Some coincidences that have to be explained, but none of the physical or forensics seem to support the fact that he killed her. Your thoughts?
Well, it seems to be pretty strong circumstantial. She went over there for a sleepover, and then he says she's just not there the next morning. She's found, 20 miles away, like that. So I think that circumstantially it seems pretty problematic, for the defense. In my experience, it's generally never a good idea to waive a jury and to try to go forward just with the judge. Because I agree, the judges are people too. They have these same emotions, and not only that, they may worry about an election or being retained coming up in the future. And if they're the ones that were to acquit him, then that's all going to be on them, and everyone's going to look at him like that. Whereas there is something where you have 12 members of the jury, one person can just hold out and say, they didn't prove it to me beyond a reasonable doubt, and that person is kind of left in anonymity. And so it gives you a little bit better shot, especially on a horrible case like this.
Yeah, and again, the only time it really makes sense to me, gentlemen, is when there's a fine point of law that you want to argue, that you think might be a little bit more difficult to sell to a jury. It may be easier to sell to a judge, but I agree with both of you. Very, very few situations that I think it's better to go with the judge than the jury. Here's the other thing that I see about this case. The defense attorney sort of works well with this. His girlfriend is the only one that puts the girl by his car. He claims, or his statement to police was, he got up at 3 a.m., had to go out, he went out. When he left, everybody was safe. Now, Andrea, who is his girlfriend, his live-in girlfriend at the time, basically all she says is that she looked out the window and saw her by the car, but she didn't come forward with that information till 4 days after. Brian, that's something to work with, I think.
Oh, of course it's something to work with, because, the time period, you can always make an argument. Why did you come 4 days afterwards? But like I said, at the end of the day, it's still what's coming out still what's coming out. So like I said, that's an argument. And we have to see how it falls.
Yeah. I'm throwing it out there because this defense is clearly reaching for straws at any guess, because the evidence is really stacking up against this guy. All right, gentlemen. Thanks to Josh Tellini, Brian Gaither for joining us today. Really appreciated your insights, gentlemen. Thank you so much. We'll see you again soon. Folks, coming up next, we're going to review the 3 things we've learned today and the cases we've been covering from coast to coast right here on Court TV.
All right, Court TV is the source. This was uploaded 7 days ago. The state and the defense has rested in the trial of Iowa against Henry Dinkins. And the defense feels as though there is no major evidence linking his client to Breasia Terrell. But when you go back into the evidentiary material that has been given, he is linked to the child. A gun discarded in the pond mimics gun used with the bullets similar to what was found in the victim, shot 3 times. His phone pings at that pond where she was also found, car stuck. He gets help from a Caucasian male who's no longer alive. And that man is in a recorded video in the police station describing him, what he was wearing, and the fact that he offered him $100. You also get testimony from his own son of him offering money to some other men pertaining to fishing poles, same amount of money. What are the odds that the child will be repeating the same dollar amount, $100, versus what this other man says was offered to him to pull him out of the ditch? Why was your car in a ditch in the same area where the child was discarded? Why are you in the middle of nowhere with your child near some people fishing, but you didn't have a fishing pole? Why did you take your son out in the middle of the night to go buy bleach? Your son states that you were cleaning a weapon, a machete with it. Clear-cut branches were laid atop the victim, which the state believes you used that same machete to cut those branches to bury the girl child. You looked for pornography pertaining to girls 10 days before this abduction, assault, and murder of Breasia Terrell. You have a criminal past of inappropriately engaging sexually with a 5-year-old child at the age of 18, where you served prison. What version Ms. Culbertson is given is probably iffy, of seeing the child, not seeing the child, him leaving his phone behind. That leads us to believe he had 2 phones. That is how they got information of the porn and the phone ping. If we're to believe he left his phone there. Now you get this information. She waited 4 days to admit she saw the girl buy the car because possibly she didn't want to get involved in tattletale on her lover, Mr. Hamhock. But in the end, you're the one that has to walk around Davenport, Iowa, Miss Culbertson, not Henry Dinkins, because he doesn't give 2 fucks about you or anybody else. Breasia, his son, Aisha, or anybody else. You have to live in that area. You have to work in that area. You have to sustain yourself because you had a man living with you who didn't do anything. He was just a big fat lump of clay living off your dime, your time. But that was your choice. But he was unfit to be a parent. We learned that through trial. He didn't even provide care, monies for his own son. So if he wouldn't provide for his son, he wouldn't provide for you. What's the difference? He's a misfit. And then you have his sister 4 weeks ago rooting for him, that he ain't the type, but he is the type. Because you see, one sin begets another. Fraud, theft leads to murder. Sexual assault, violence leads to murder. It always has, always will. It is the end result. That's why rapists become murderers. They pointed me out, but they don't got no proof. Next time, there'll be no tattletelling. And that's what Henry Dinkins did to Breasia Terrell. She won't go back and tell this. The mother says it in her own words. She's a fighter. She's hard. She's tough. She's a tattleteller. See, where he messed up was all that back and forth with the child, the children. Take her out to assault and then bring her back. Then leave again, then come back to get his boy child. That's where he messed up. And who's to say there weren't people looking out their windows and coming and going in and out of their cars at that time of morning to see all this going back and forth? They just haven't spoken to law enforcement. Because you see, there's always eyes in the sky and on the ground. It's just a matter of who's going to tell it. And a lot of people don't like getting involved in dirty business. But as I said before, they're the same ones that hoop and holler when it's their turn and they need assistance. Their family needs assistance with law enforcement. Now they want everybody to come run and tell what they saw and heard. See, what's good for the goose is also good for the gander. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Nobody cared enough for Briasia. That's evident. And sadly, her 2 children are in the same custody, assumingly with that mother, Aisha. And I pray that she makes better decisions in the boyfriend department. Because if not, she'll be down this road again. You don't know people. Trust no one with or without children. Everybody is not your friend, and everyone is not rooting for you. And time again, we keep seeing children being accosted by adults and also other children. You have to be aware of your children and their surroundings and who they hang with and visit, and the people you bring around your children and places you send your child. You have to teach your child to know the difference of an enemy and an ally. You tell your children, if someone approaches you foul, talks foul to you, run like hell and tell. If they attempt to touch you, you tell them no and try to get out if you can. And you also tell. Let your child know that no secret is too great to be repeated to you. This is the reason why we have people being aided into foolishness, because they don't want to own that the person is vile. And that means you're also vile if you aid a pedophile, a rapist, a sadist. You are no different than that person. To me, Andrea Culberson is to blame for the death of Briasia. Mr. Dinkins is to blame. Her mother is to blame. Aisha and the grandmother is to blame, because you all have shown that you are complacent in your child rearing skills, and you act as if you gave 2 fucks about this girl child. You've shown that in your testimony in court and your conversations with news entities. She was not important. And Mr. Dinkins obviously agreed. He brought the hammer down. This is a sad tale of child neglect and brutality. And it won't be the first. It surely will not be the last. If you see something, say something. Be a part of the solution and not the problem. Mind the children. That's my commentary for today. I want to thank my guests who joined me. Please check my community board for all said updates and polls. Take the polls. Let your voice, opinion count. We will wait on the verdict from the judge. And I also want to say, I agree with what was said in his commentary, that the judge is also a human and he has feelings as well. And perhaps they didn't make a good decision by having a bench trial, because with a jury, all it takes is one to hang the jury to give a mistrial. And also in this commentary, you hear his attorneys wanted to have this trial have him acquitted. But the judge said, no, I will be the one to make the decision pertaining to Mr. Dinkins. I won't doubt that he has committed other nefarious crimes since coming out of prison. I won't doubt that he's accosted other children. I won't doubt that he was a victim of child molestation growing up, and that is how he became a child molester. And the fact that he searched pornography pertaining to abused children before this crime against Briasia shows he had never changed and he was never reformed. And now he's in prison with a bunch of men. I won't doubt that he will be partaking in nefarious deeds with men in the prison. Yes, I said that. Because I won't doubt that he could be possibly a dual offender. He's offended boys and girls. Who's to say? The judge will make a decision. It may be 60 days, and that is a very long time. I pray the judge will sleep tight on this information that he heard in court, and that he will find Mr. Dinkins guilty of first-degree murder and kidnapping of this girl child. I think the evidence was good as it could get, because that's the point. You can only get what you can from what was left behind. And his car, his persons is at that pond where the dead girl lied. Phone pinged there. Purchasing items in the wee hour, which is circumstantial, but it's heavy. It shows calls to cover up a crime. That's good enough for me. If you'd like to donate to this great network, $Big Angie 129 Cash App. Stickers and chats are always welcome during the live stream. Thank you all for joining me. Those who tuned into this live stream, I will be back with more stimulating conversation and content and prayers to this family, prayers for these boy children that are remaining in the custody of their mother, that they will overcome this dire storyline and find some solitude and peace in life. Because the boy child, DL, seems very combative. And he needs help. Because this is something you don't want, is a repeat. He's carrying a heavy burden. And these others are carrying it as well because they know they didn't carry their weight pertaining to creation. Prayers for the boy children. And prayers for all children. Have a wonderful week. My movie suggestion is Beneath the Leaves, playing on the Roku channel. And you have been listening to The Vault XL.